obviously, but I left myself. I was at a bar last night watching that game, and everyone at the bar was having so much fun watching everyone play slip and slide in the snow. It was incredible.
Absolutely. No, this is what you hope for with Thursday Night Football, because oftentimes you don't get a good game. You have two bad opponents or a lopsided game. And what was odd about this one was, despite the Steelers being 8-2 and the Browns being 2-8 and no signs of momentum, the spread was only, I think, 3 points or 3.5 in favor of Pittsburgh. So the snow comes in, although Cleveland did play well in the first half without the snow.
Yeah.
And then when it starts coming down, it really started coming down. Steelers made a strong push. I mean, in a matter of a few minutes, they went from down, 18-6 to up 19-18. But if you were a Chiefs fan watching last night, I think you left being pretty satisfied because of how fun it was. And then also it's now helping out Kansas City in the number 1 seed chase.
Huge help for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I don't know how to view it, because I went into this game. I ripped the Browns, by the way. With the weather and all that stuff, it felt like the Pittsburgh was a good sell high spot. The Browns, I was buying low. I was like, okay, there's going to be a little bit of it's the AFC North. It's going to be physical. Let's almost go against the grain here. So I ripped the Browns. That was fun. I was very nervous when they got down 19-18. I go, I'm an idiot. What am I doing? And then they came back. I don't know how to view this, though, from the landscape of, does my mindset change about Pittsburgh? Because I told myself going into this game, I said, Pittsburgh is a good team. Whatever happens in this game, my thoughts are not going to change. I don't think they've changed. I still think Pittsburgh's a good team. I know George Pickens was putting it very blunt after the game, saying that it was the weather's fault and the ref's fault why they lost this game. He was a little salty that he couldn't see the ball and from Russell Wilson and all that stuff. But my thought does not change. This Steelers team is still really good, and I think Chiefs fans, you should still view Pittsburgh as the team that beat the Ravens. View them as a team that was 8-2, because this was a fun game, but I don't think we learned a lot about Pittsburgh from this game.
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you're a Chiefs fan, did you feel any differently about Baltimore when the Browns put up 35-plus points with Jameis Winston in his first start in that game in Cleveland? I certainly didn't, because the NFL is a weird league where this happens from time to time. When you have a short week, it's a divisional game, it's a divisional rivalry. You can have losses like this and still be a really good team. I mean, last year, how many people do you think changed their opinion on the Chiefs on that Christmas Day loss? Aiden O'Connell didn't complete a pass for the second half.
That's
and
the recipe.
Yeah,
Jack.
there you
It's
go.
the recipe.
It was the Mahomes rules and everything that Antonio Pierce put into place, but yet that Chiefs team went on to win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying the Steelers are identical to that Chiefs team, but the NFL is just known for games like this.
Yeah.
And it's why it's been so impressive in Kansas City that how many times have they lost games like that where they're playing a far inferior opponent and they lose? And for George Pickens saying, well, it's the weather, well, the Browns had to play in the same weather as well. So you can't act like it only affected your team, because they were throwing the ball just as much as Russell Wilson and the Steelers were. However, I do feel like in the last couple of years, even going back to the final years under Big Ben, I remember that Steelers start where they were, 9-0, 11-0, something like that. But they had escaped so many games in those first 9, 10, 11 games. And then when they got to the postseason, they got bounced. So for Pittsburgh, though they're coming off a great win against Baltimore, these are the type of losses where you go, it feels like it fits the last couple of good Steelers teams where they have a great record, and then just when you think you're all the way in, they're the toughest contender to Kansas City, they have a game like this. And Russell Wilson, I still thought looked good yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
He really did. But Cleveland's not a good football team, and we're not going to spin it that just because they beat Baltimore and Pittsburgh, they're a good football team. That's a bad loss for them, but I think I am with you. I don't look at them now and say, well, they're going to be a first-round exit, or there's no way they can challenge the Chiefs, because we know it's not true. It's going to still be a hell of a football game on Christmas Day.
Yeah, again, the weather played a massive factor. I just wouldn't have said what George Pickens said, which was George Pickens, quote, conditions played a huge, huge part in today's game. I don't really think the Cleveland Browns are a good team at all. I think the conditions kind of saved them today, end quote.
I mean,
it's pretty bold.
It is, and that's George Pickens, though. I mean, I love it when players have that type of energy. and win or lose, they keep the same energy, right? It'd be dumb if he was only talking trash if the Steelers were winning, and then all of a sudden he turns into a different guy when they lose. He was pissed off. I mean, after the game, he got in a fight with
Greg Newsome.
It was Greg Newsome.
I think Greg Newsome after the game says, quote, fake tough guy.
So it's great, though. That's I'll be honest with you. When watching NFL games and which divisions I prefer, I love nothing more than watching AFC North games. They are always fun. They are always dirty like this. There's a lot of bad blood between all of these teams.
Myles Garrett was getting into it, talking smack. Like, I'm the number one guy. In the first half, he had 3 sacks.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, again, the TJ Watt, Myles Garrett. I don't know if it's bad blood.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what you'd call it. They clearly don't like each other. They clearly feel a certain way when Myles Garrett won Defensive Player of the Year last year and TJ Watt tweeting that stuff out. And then the first half, Myles Garrett, the 3 sacks post-game saying, I just proved I'm the best edge rusher in the NFL. I love this, man.
Yeah.
I love this.
The NFL is all about storylines, too. You need storylines for this league to be entertaining year in and year out, and they never fail with that. There are always players talking trash. There's bad blood between players and coaches. There's drama in locker rooms. But on the field, there is nothing more I think you could hope for a primetime matchup than 2 teams that hate each other. This does have playoff implications for one team. It's snowing. If you don't like a snow game, I think there was somebody out there that said they don't like it when the conditions are snowing or rainy, anything like that. I've never seen anybody be upset about a lot of rain or a lot of snow in a football game. I have to go back and find it now.
If I'm at the game.
Still, I think I'm somebody that loves having those type of conditions. I was at the Chiefs-Dolphins game when it was negative 50 outside.
You're a psycho.
It's a different element to it. It's fun. You remember it. And I think for Browns fans in an otherwise catastrophic season, they now can go, well, my favorite game was that Steelers Thursday night one in the snow.
Yeah. No, the snow was fine because that was some thick snow.
Oh, yeah.
That's the kind that almost insulates you. When it gets to that 36 degrees and it rains and it's the not
windy.
That's the kind I can't do. That's when I'm out. I'll watch on TV all day. I think it's great. The players seemingly loved the snow last night. They were slipping and sliding. They had a blast. Fun to watch. Being there, different story. I do want to talk with you about the Royals. We'll play Brady or Bats, okay?
Brady or Bats.
Let's go through a couple of situations here. And when I say Brady or Bats, it doesn't have to be Brady Singer, but I think we all agree he's the biggest trade piece for the Royals. I think he's the player most likely on the move. I think at this point, I don't know where you land on this. I'll ask you first. What percentage do you give Brady Singer either A, being back this upcoming season, or him being traded? What are the odds in your mind?
Yeah, I think the percentages of being traded at this point have to be above 70. Wow. I think that, going back to last year when J.J. Piccolo and the Royals were rumored to be interested in certain guys, there was always smoke around that. And that smoke led to fire. The Royals were interested in Seth Lugo for a long time. And you kept seeing those articles come out about the Royals are one of 3 teams, and they're a finalist for Lugo. Then they got Seth Lugo. And I'm not reading in too much to the Jonathan India and Brady Singer deal because I think Nick Martinez accepting the qualifying offer, I think, put a little bit of a wrench in that. I don't believe the trade was ever that close. But when you go from Brady Singer's a lock for our rotation to then the next week he's being discussed in trade deals, that to me is probably more so about the amount of teams that are calling about Brady Singer. And again, I think Annie Rogers had a great piece in her newsletter about what the Royals liked through free agency and through the trade market. It seems like they are leaning toward the trade market being a better fit for them. And that's why I think with Brady Singer being your number 1 trade chip, he's already been mentioned in a trade before. That's why right now I put it at over 70%. And then if no deal really comes about, then he would be back. But right now I'm thinking if they're not really, super excited about everybody in free agency and they want to do a trade, maybe for not just one, but both of those lineup spots, Brady Singer's got to be involved in one of those.
Well, what's a good situation for the Royals is either way I think you're happy.
Yeah.
I think either way you could spin it and you're going to be thrilled. Either you trade Brady and you get back a top-of-the-lineup guy or a middle-of-the-order bat. So either way, you're improving your team there. But if all of a sudden one of those moves does not come to fruition and now you have Brady Singer back on that contract, you're still happy. So the Royals, to me, are in a good spot where either way they go, they kind of hold the cards. They're not forced to have to trade Brady to get something back. If they decide that a move does not benefit them or they don't like the return, well, you just hold on to Brady Singer, and now you have a stronger, deeper starting rotation, which was a big reason why you made it to the playoffs this year. So I think either way, the Royals can't really – they can mess this up if you trade them for and you get nothing back in return. But I think overall, I will be okay with what the Royals choose to do. But a couple players I want to get into now because I think there's a lot of guys on the market. I think the free agent market is not quite – you hear the Juan Sotos and the Alex Bregmans, but then there's a steep drop-off. There's not a whole bunch of the Jonathan India-type players, the Nico Herners. There's not a whole bunch of the above-average players on the free agent market. It's either you are a superstar or you're a 36-year-old journeyman. Not much in between. So a couple of trade pieces I want to get into with you. Let's start with the Jonathan India one first because that's obviously the most talked about one as of now. India has, what is these? Let me look at the contract. I have all the contracts pulled up. He has, this year he's under contract for $4.4 million, and then, or $5.5 million, and he has one more year of arbitration in 2026. So basically you have control for 2 years, which is exactly what Brady Singer has, right? So you're very, very similar here. The issue is, and then I've been trying to dive deeper into, he plays second base. Only second base. Michael Massey plays second base. Only second base. I know they've been talking about outfield for Michael Massey. One, do you believe that? Is that a legitimate possibility? Because we've seen that happen with MJ Melendez.
Yeah.
MJ's a great athlete. Maybe even a better athlete than Michael Massey. We've seen how that has transpired so far. Do you think a second baseman or a Jonathan India-type player is even a realistic possibility because of the positional lack of versatility?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Kansas City, I've never really worried about which positions guys plays because they've bounced around so many times before. I mean, Bobby Wood Jr. came up as a third base or a shortstop. They put him at third base because Adalberto Mondesi and Nicky Lopez were at short. Then Bobby goes back to shortstop. Michael Garcia had never played third base at all. He was a shortstop and second baseman. He plays third base, and hell, even last year, he played in right field in that Houston series all the way at the end of August because the Royals were being flexible in that department. MJ Melendez had to learn to play another position. Salvador Perez played a little bit more first base, and that's where I do put faith in Jose Aguasil, where if they traded for Jonathan India, it's not a, well, now we have to permanently move one of them. I think there's a real world where you don't need to really move around them a lot. Let's say, Jonathan India is acquired for Brady Singer. He is a second baseman, but you might try to teach him a little bit of third base. Or if you want a corner outfield spot, I believe he played both when he was at Florida in college. But Michael Massey's a guy that's only been a second baseman, and that's why I think because of his defense there, you don't want to move him out of position. But if there was a lineup, which we know how much Matt Quatrero likes to move around his lineup, if Michael Massey's at second base, Salvador Perez is at first, Vinny's DHing, Freddie Fermin's catching, and you want India and Massey in the lineup at the same time, well, that might need to be a day where Jonathan India plays third base and Michael Massey plays second, or India plays second base and Michael Massey now has to play a corner outfield spot. I think they believe that he's athletic enough to do it. Now, how well can he do it? That's a different question. But I think if you have average defense in right field to slightly below average, it's not going to kill you in that game. And that's why with India, with them discussing the trade, they have something in mind for that. It's not, well, now we got to permanently move one guy to the bench or trade the other guy. There's a real-world possibility they could have Jonathan India and Michael Massey in the same lineup, and one of them playing second base, and the other one just having to play another spot. But I think it would likely mean Massey's playing second base and India's DHing, or it'd be Massey DHing and Jonathan India playing second.
If you were to make this move, hypothetically, are you taking Brady or the bat? Are you taking Jonathan India, or are you taking Brady Singer? Or would you need a little sweetener, a couple, like maybe throw a prospect in there?
I think I'd take the bat in this conversation because, Brady Singer had one hell of a year. The Royals obviously like him. He's a homegrown talent. He loves Kansas City. But when you're talking about Cincinnati, Jonathan India is somebody that a top 5 walk rate in all of baseball. We've heard J.J. Piccolo say how much he's valuing the on-base aspect of the players he's trying to bring in this offseason. Jonathan India is also top 20 in the league in pitches per plate appearance. The leader in the Royals last year in that department was Vinny Pasquantino, who was 81st. they need guys that can lead off the game or really lead off in any sort of scenario and see a lot of pitches. Remember how frustrated we were in the Yankee series about how many walks there were?
Yeah.
It wasn't that the Royals were all over the place. It was that the Yankees had numerous guys that could see a lot of pitches and force you into 3-2 counts, 3-1 counts. Jonathan India can do that. And to me, I think the walk rate, I think the pitches per plate appearance is worth moving on from a number 4 starter. That's what I think people need to realize here. I mean, Brady Singer in the last 2 months of the year had an ERA over 5.5. So there was that regression.
Other teams see that, though, too.
They do. And that's why I think with Cincinnati, who plays 81 games in a notoriously hitter-friendly ballpark,
Sure.
like that's not where I could see Brady Singer succeeding. So if you went after Jonathan India, not that you're rooting for a guy to fail, but I don't think you would be looking back midseason and going, well, I wish we would have hung on to Brady Singer, because I'm not sure he would thrive in an environment like that. But to me, I would take the bat because I think Jonathan India is a perfect leadoff hitter for this type of team.
Yeah, he would be the ideal leadoff hitter. And Brady Singer, the one thing he does do very well, ground ball percentage was 79 percentile last year. 79 percentile, 48.3% of his balls, his outs, I guess, were ground balls. So keep that in mind. That's the one thing that maybe would help him in Great America Ballpark, because you're right. The balls absolutely fly, especially to left field. Okay. 2 guys here. I don't think either are a real possibility, but one is a great on-base guy, great singles hitter, and the other guy has a lot of pop. He has a 114 OPS plus over this 5 years in the majors, averaging 26 home runs, 31 doubles, 94 RBIs per 162 games. He has a 33 home run season on his resume, and he was looking to get traded at the deadline last year. The issue is positional versatility. The 2 guys I'm mentioning, Ryan Mountcastle, who used to play a little bit of corner outfield when he first came up, but has not the past 3 seasons, and Yandy Diaz for Tampa Bay. He played a lot of third base coming up with Cleveland, his first few years in Tampa, but now he's almost a first base exclusively player. Either of those 2 guys, or is the positional versatility even dropped farther down than a Jonathan India, make it just a non-starter? Because the bat-wise, both make a ton of sense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love Yandy Diaz. I think that he has been one of the more underrated bats in all of baseball in the last 2 years. I mean, Tampa Bay has gotten a ton of value for him, and you can thank Tampa Bay for acquiring him because he was with Cleveland before he really took off. So worrying about a guy like him in Cleveland just, I know, would have tortured the Royals for a number of years. But I guess I'm not saying I don't value defense, because I do. And the Royals certainly are a team that value defense. They don't want to be below average in like 4 or 5 spots out there. But if you go after Yandy Diaz, you certainly have a huge upgrade in the lineup.
Yes.
Absolutely have a huge upgrade, whether you want to hit him leadoff or you want to hit him in the middle of the order. But with him being a first baseman DH, that really puts you in a pickle, I think even more so than what Jonathan India would, being a second baseman. Because you got to worry about Vinny Pasquantino already being a first baseman at DH. Neither of those guys are really going to move out of position, or I think could do it remotely well. Like Jonathan India, I could see moving and being okay. I don't know if you could move, Yandy Diaz somewhere where he's out of position.
Even third base was a struggle for a guy who's not a good defensive first baseman. And when he played third, it was not ideal. The only thing you could do, hypothetically, you'd be playing a lot of less Freddie Freeman then. That's what that would mean.
Yeah.
That would mean that Salvi's catching, Vinny is playing DH or first base, and then Yandy or Ryan Mountcastle is. So you could go that route.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't hate it, too, if you got Vinny at first, Yandy Diaz DHing, and Salvador Perez catching. I do wonder, though, if that's your lineup. I mean, you want those guys almost out there every single day. Salvi can't catch. I mean, 155 games a year.
No.
You need in the DH, and Salvi also likes playing first base as well. So 3 first basemen on the roster. I see it as unlikely, but it kind of contradicts my point of what I said about Jonathan India. I think the Royals are looking at the bat part of the player right now.
Yes.
What do they give you as an offensive threat? And can we live with what they do defensively? Clearly, they live with what MJ Melendez gives them in left field. They live with what Hunter Renfroe gives them in right field. But it's also a team that I don't think is going to be as reckless as hey, they've got a 380 OBP, they've got a 12% walk rate, but they are atrocious wherever you put them in the field. That doesn't scream Royal to me.
Yeah.
I like Jock Peterson. I think the
Sure.
bat is phenomenal. And I know some people say, well, I don't want to pay for a platoon bat. There's a lot more right-handed pitchers in the game, and he still played 130-some games for Arizona and was one of the best hitters against right-handed pitchers, which you see a lot of. Problem is, Jock Peterson doesn't play anywhere other than DH.
Yeah.
And I think the Royals want to have that defensive flexibility. When we've heard the rumors, they're looking for a upgraded Garrett Hampson type of guy that can play center, second, and short.
But don't they have that guy on the roster? Just give him an outfield glove, and that's Michael Garcia.
Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe that was hinting more so at, to me, it screamed Taylor Ward, even though Taylor Ward doesn't play second or short. He plays left, right, and third.
Yeah.
But,
which we'll get to.
Yes, I knew you were probably leaning in that direction. But, I would love those players in the lineup, but I think the defensive liabilities they have are too much to overcome for what the Royals are looking for.
So you're taking Brady over the bats of Ryan or
and I think it'd
Yandy.
take more than Brady to get both those guys.
I agree.
So, yeah,
I agree.
I probably would have to side with it would make more sense at that point to keep Brady and whoever else would be going in that deal.
Yandy Diaz, 1 year, $10 million left on his contract with a 2026 club option. It was kind of a backloaded deal, so that's why Tampa Bay might move on because Tampa Bay looking to shed some of that. You know how Tampa Bay is.
They want to stay in the bottom 5 in payroll, that's for sure.
And then Ryan Mountcastle was looking to get traded at the deadline. According to the Orioles, he stayed. They have a top prospect at first base, Kobe Mayo, and he has arbitration eligibility through 2026. So, again, basically the exact same as Brady Singer. So no Ryan Mountcastle, no Yandy Diaz. Between those two guys, before we take a break and continue playing Brady or bats, do you have a preference? Because they're two different styles. Mm-hmm. I'd like to know your style because Yandy's the on-base guy.
Yeah.
A lot better on base, a lot more singles, way better contact. But then Ryan Mountcastle, for example, a lot more power, a little more swing and miss. Still a good on-base guy, but not quite the same as Diaz. Of those two guys, which way would you lean?
Yeah, Yandy Diaz would be my pick there just because I think for Kauffman Stadium, it would play so well there. That's why I have this dream scenario that Yandy Diaz could play third base just fine or could play a corner outfield spot just fine. He can't, though. He is a first baseman in the DH.
It's Miguel. It'd be Miguel Cabrera. Well, late career Miguel Cabrera.
But that's why, I have loved the idea of the Royals going after Yandy Diaz for a number of years, and I was waiting for an offseason like this where Tampa Bay would be looking to unload him because I think he would be electric in Kansas City. But I do wonder how much of that defensive part of his game is holding up any sort of interest in him.
Sure. But I also had a dream one time about Maikel Franco. I thought Maikel Franco was going to hit 40 doubles in Kauffman, and that did not go the way we hoped. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More Zone next. Dylan Michaels, Lee Sterling, and Lebo coming up in about 10 to 15 minutes. We'll be back with Jason at 11 o'clock.
You will.
I will be. You'll be in Wichita. You gotta fly.
I gotta fly. Yep.
Do you have like a private plane that you take there each time, or
a jet?
Yeah, private jet.
Mm-hmm.
You just get McCole Harbin's back,
got like
or Jet McKinnon. Just
yeah. I mean, they got shrimp cocktail and everything.
Oh wow, classy, huh?
Spritzers. Yeah, no, it's great, man. Every day, run over to the airport. It's right here.
Also, I don't get shrimp cocktail. We'll get back to Brady or Bats, but I don't.
They're phenomenal.
No, it's cold shrimp. It's gross.
Oh, come on.
No, if I'm getting some shrimps, yeah, better be cooked.
I like all types of shrimp, man.
Better be. That feels like a mark. I don't know. Maybe not. No, Dylan says no.
Not worth his time.
Not worth his time. No, it's fine. Oh, I love it. To appease me, he presses a button next to the mark button. Look, he's fixing something to almost look like he's marking, even though I know he's not. Good work, Dylan. Yeah, shrimp cocktail's ass, dude. Sorry. Cold shrimp, out.
One's opinion.
All right. Brady or Bats, getting back before Lee Sterling joins to get everyone all set on what to bet on. All right. Before we get to, I think, the main two outside of India, we'll get to Taylor Ward. We'll get to Brent Rooker. Those are obviously the names that have been thrown around the most. One name I think is really interesting, not talked about hardly at all. I think this team wants to trade this guy. He has some positional versatility at first, second, and third base. Left-handed bat, good amount of power. Ryan McMahon for the Rockies.
Yeah.
He's had 20 home runs in 4 straight years. Gets on base pretty consistently at a .330 clip. He's not going to steal you any bases.
He's terrific defensively. Yeah, I mean, no, I would be all over that. The problem is kind of like we talked about with Yandy Diaz, it's going to take more than Brady Singer. Even though you look at Colorado as a team that's nowhere near contention. Again, Colorado's one of those teams that we don't talk about a lot, to be honest.
You think it would take more than Brady to get him because of the contract?
I think the years of control, what he
his contract is. I had it pulled up. Give me 1 second to get that thing.
I mean, I really feel like in baseball, if you've got more than 1 year of control, you got an additional year there, and you're a position player, I think the price is going to go way up than just Brady, who's coming off a good year for sure, but they're also knowing that he's a number 4 starter. And with Colorado, I mean, is there ever going to be a great pitcher again there? It's impossible to succeed at Coors Field if you're a pitcher.
But Brady's a ground ball pitcher.
He is. I do think, though, back to that point about Colorado, they're a team that I just don't – they're like the Angels where I don't understand the direction and if they would be willing to sell off one of the guys that they really like. I think that Ryan McMahon is somebody they would love to build around a little bit. However, there are a lot of players away from building around Ryan McMahon. So you –
they have Tovar, the shortstop.
Ezekiel Tovar, another great defender.
Yeah.
There are pieces in Colorado, but Brady Singer, to me, having 2 more years of control. Again, I think the metrics is something Colorado would look at and say, we got to get a little bit more than that. In fact, I think they would want an additional prospect thrown in there, knowing how far away they are from contention.
Ooh.
Daniel Jones has been released by the New York Giants.
Wait, what?
What if it was a trade with Colorado?
Yeah, that'd have been a while. I was thinking, is it baseball? That'd be great for Brady or Bats. Brady Singer or Daniel Jones?
Yeah, Brady Singer.
Wow.
We saw this coming. He gave a statement the other day. He gave at the press conference. He had like a statement saying, thank you to all the Giants fans, and I have nothing but respect. I think this happened like yesterday evening, and then now it's being reported.
I don't know.
I mean, he was playing safety in the last practice.
He was scout safety.
There was no way that he was.
But that's my point. If you're playing scout safety, then maybe he's Well, no. I was looking
it's
it
like
up.
Petey and Remember the Titans.
Almost all third-string quarterbacks play scout safety. It is what it is. But if he was doing that, I figured, okay, he's at least going to be around the team, because if he's going to be doing that, not just sitting on the bench. You're not playing scout safety if you're going to get released the next day.
I mean, wasn't he down to number 4 on the depth chart? Wasn't that
3?
reported?
It was 3.
Oh.
Because they only have 3 quarterbacks, right? They may have brought someone in.
I thought they brought in somebody and he was number 4.
So he actually requested his release, and the team was expected to grant it 8 minutes ago, but then it was breaking news just now that they did grant it. So
Yeah, they signed Tim Boyle. That's what it was. They signed Tim Boyle. Recently.
Yeah.
Wow, their quarterback room is Tommy DeVito, Tim Boyle, Drew Lock. Their best quarterback is not going to play. Drew Lock.
Yeah, that was weird to me too. Again, we talk about no direction of teams. What are the Giants doing? What is the focus here? Why not Drew Lock? Why Tommy DeVito?
Yeah, I don't.
Was this a tanking thing where they feel like Drew Lock could win them a couple of games, and then you have that weird 7-10 record or 6-11 record?
Daniel Jones had a wildly expensive contract. And there was a ton of injury guarantees, so that was the big reason why they moved on. The Giants would be on the hook for $23 million should Daniel Jones sustain an injury and not be able to pass a physical next year. So they're cutting their losses.
I mean, can you believe that he earned that contract for one playoff win against Minnesota? I get they won double-digit games in the regular season, and that Giants team got absolutely obliterated by Philly in the divisional round. They went to Philadelphia after beating Minnesota on the road. Daniel Jones got that contract because of that game.
Well, he was good as a rookie. I think as a rookie, you saw him throw 24 touchdown passes. Obviously, he was a really good runner, but his rookie year was probably his best year. And so I think everyone can try to look, well, if he could do that as a rookie, let's see if he can recapture that. And clearly he never did.
I mean, it feels like we've been talking about quarterback controversy in New York now for his entire career, even with some of the good years.
Yeah.
Like going into that playoff year where they...
that was 22.
Yeah, caught lightning in a bottle. It never felt like the Giants were fully behind Daniel Jones until they gave him this contract, which at the time, I mean, the worst quarterback contract right now in the NFL is Deshaun Watson.
Yes.
To me, because of the production, the availability, it just hasn't worked out so far. Daniel Jones... probably is number 2, I feel like.
Had to be up there.
I mean, what's the last year? Since 2022, what did he do last year and what has he done this year?
Well, he was injured last year, went 1-5.
1-5. So
this year, he played 10 games and was 2-8. So he was 3-15 as a starter.
What was the touchdown-interception ratio?
He had 10 passing touchdowns, 13 interceptions.
And for $23 million a year, I mean...
it's brutal.
Yeah, it's absolutely awful. But at least now we know the Giants... The Giants may be starting Tommy DeVito, feeling like he's not going to win many games. Therefore, they can be in the running for somebody like Shedeur Sanders in the top 3 part of the draft. I think Drew Lock is good enough where if he came in,
he might win a couple
win
games, 2 games, whatever
2
it
or
is.
3 games to put them outside the top 5.
All right, I know we got a break because Lee Sterling's coming on. Didn't get a chance to really finish Brady or Bats because of breaking news, which is fun to talk about because Daniel Jones, Vanilla Vic out as the quarterback in New York. Taylor Ward, Brent Rooker, anyone. If you had your druthers, who do you get back for Brady?
Taylor Ward. Taylor Ward is the top of my list right now. I think he's the most royal fit. He can play corner outfield spot. He can play third base. He's got the flexibility coming off a great year. Last couple years, he's been fantastic. I think the perfect leadoff bat for this team.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. Lee Sterling with Lebo up next on The Zone.
find out from national sports handicapping champion Lee Sterling on The Zone. Log on to ParamountSports.com or call toll-free 800-400-9741 to get started.
Welcome back into the Zone on this Red Friday. The Chiefs coming off their first loss of the year, but it's still Red Friday. They're on the road to play the Carolina Panthers, and we've got a lot of football games coming right down to the wire. It's a great time to talk to Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. Lee, I know you've got some big stuff for us this week for sure.
Yeah, we've got our college football game of the year. So we've been money on these 40 to 50 unit selections. This will be our first 50 unit play of the year. It's college football 50 unit max wager, 70 and 26 lifetime on these 40 to 50 unit plays. So I think I've found the right game, right matchup, right coaching matchup, weather, check that out. So we're going to release it and run with it. And anyone wants to get our college football game of the year, just $97. Go to ParamountSports.com as soon as you purchase it. Window pops open with a selection. And then also, not November, November continues 2 weeks through Monday, December 2nd, just $197. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
Can't wait. The college football game of the year. It's always an exciting week when that one happens. All right, let's talk about some games that we'll assign to you for this week. Missouri is at Mississippi State. Mississippi State has not won a game in SEC play. They're got a new coach, all that stuff. Missouri's a 7-point favorite on the road here against the Bulldogs.
And, what's Missouri playing for? 7-3. What's the difference? They're not going to be in a conference championship game. I just don't think the focus is there. Those two innings, the last couple games, are just crazy. That Oklahoma game and South Carolina game, one game worked out for them, last game not. Get a Mississippi State team that is going to be off of a bye, desperate to avoid having a winless SEC season. Their offense is much improved here. I think Missouri might prevail 31-30, but 7.5, 8 points, I think it's too much here. We're going to take the Bulldogs and the points.
Let's see if Jeff Levy can get off the schneid and maybe get a win. They got Ole Miss next week. That's probably not going to happen there. All right, big game in the Big Ten for Ohio State and for Indiana. They both look like they're going to be in the college football playoff, but Ohio State probably doesn't want to have two losses in the Big Ten and get there. They're at home, almost a 2-touchdown favorite against the newcomer, Indiana.
Here's a crazy stat. Last 14 times, an undefeated top 5 team has been a double-digit underdog. That undefeated underdog lost all 14 games and just 5-9 against the spread. Taking it even further, when a team, the last 7 times that a team is 10-0 or better and has been a double-digit underdog, 5 of those 6 previous 7 occasions, they not only lost, but they failed to score more than 10 points. Now, I do think they'll score more than 10 on Ohio State. Ohio State's defense is, above average, but nothing special. Here's what scares me for Indiana, and I love their coach, Curt Cignetti. What he's done in 1 year is incredible. Their defense hasn't faced even one good offense. All 10 of their opponents, not one, is in the top 40. Teams like FIU, Western Illinois, Charlotte, which fired their coach, Northwestern, which couldn't score if you gave them 6 downs, Nebraska fired their offensive coordinator, Washington hasn't won a road game this year. So the best offense was Maryland at 44 and Washington at 58. Ohio State has the 18th best offense. Why is it not even the top 10? Well, they already faced Oregon and Penn State, 2 top 5 defenses. So I just think that the skill level position players at running back and wide receiver for Ohio State are off the charts. You're going to see a ton of first and second round picks coming from those 5, 6 kids that play a lot of time for Ohio State. I think it's too much of a major step up for Indiana. I think Ohio State pulls away in the second half, 38-17.
Yeah, Cignetti's no dummy. He signed that contract before they played this game. So
right.
good on him. All right, we've got a game at Arrowhead Stadium coming up tomorrow with Kansas hosting Colorado. Kansas is off the mat, right? They were dead in the water. If they win these last 2, they make a bowl game. Colorado needs this win to solidify their spot in that Big 12 championship game. Colorado's just a slight favorite here against a Kansas team right now, though.
And Kansas didn't play great last week in beating BYU. I mean, they were helped out with that interception in the end zone and the fumble off the BYU return player's helmet. I mean, and they turned that into a short touchdown. But the defense, I mean, they held when they had to. The fact is, Colorado hasn't beaten a team close to the top 25. And sometimes it's about matchups. Kansas's defense, number 6 in interceptions. Colorado's offensive line, 8th highest sack rate, while Kansas's pass rush is top 40 here. Wrong team favored. Kansas does it again and moves one game closer to being bowl eligible. Wrong team favored, Kansas 35-30.
That would upset the Big 12 standings even further, that's for sure. All right, let's talk a little NFL here. Monday Night Football, this is a good one. The Chargers, again, are an excellent team. They ended up winning against the Bengals last week at home. They got the Ravens coming in now. The Ravens are going to lay some points here. They're favorites on the road on Monday Night Football at the Chargers.
Yeah. So I think the blueprint has been laid out now with Pittsburgh and a few other teams in Kansas City, obviously. If you follow that blueprint on defense, you can limit this offense. And, I mean, the Chargers' defense, league leading, just allowing 14 points per game. Their receivers, all of a sudden, are coming alive. They're starting to develop some guys there. And I just love what Jim Harbaugh is doing with Justin Herbert here. So it's not the Harbaughs, it's the Harbaugh here. I'm going to take the LA Superchargers here, 17-13 over Baltimore.
Yeah, the Ravens just don't seem to be able to get consistent victories. I mean, they're kind of up and down on that, so we'll see. Now, the Chiefs have to get up off the mat after losing at Buffalo. I don't think many people think they're going to lose to Carolina. They should be very focused in this game, but they're laying a great big number on the road. You don't see that a lot in the NFL.
Yep, we've got a favorite here. It isn't good at laying big numbers, and an underdog that usually can't stay within the number. Something's got to give here. This will be the first time Kansas City has been asked to lay double digits this season. They have been a 7-plus point favorite 3 times, and I'm going 0-3 in that situation. Also, rookie running back Jonathan Brooks is set to make his first appearance of the season. He'll be running behind the offensive line that's getting healthier here. And also, Adam Thielen expected to be back here. So the team that can run the football here, I know Xavier Worthy was just a toe away from maybe keeping that unbeaten streak alive here. But I can see Kansas City winning again, but not covering. Kansas City 28-20 over Carolina.
Well, they'll take the win, that's for sure.
Yep.
It was a tough one last week, but hey, listen, Buffalo's great. Josh Allen was a man among boys on that fourth down play. He's something to watch, no question about it. I think they'll play again at some point this year. Where's the game going to be? That's what we're all going to find out. I know you've got great specials for us this week, and you've also got a free play involving one of our locals.
Yep, Kansas State, which looked like they were sleepwalking to start that game last week. Do they come ready to play this week against Cincinnati? You can get that game. First 5 callers get Kansas State and Cincinnati on me. 800-400-9741, Kansas State and Cincinnati. And like I said, college football, 50-unit max wager, game of the year, up and available, just $97 for 2 weeks on our executive phone service. Call it Dovember is the name of the special. Just $197, one place, ParamountSports.com.
I love the college football game of the year. Get on there right now, ParamountSports.com. That's Lee Sterling. We've got more Zone coming up next on this Red Friday.
play spots. I'll be there. Don't start the show without me. And you guys
Just get all the commercials out of the way
came
and then
right-
have
Yes!
3 hours and 20
That was
minutes
the point. 10:40 to 2, we are just talking, and it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. But no, thank you to Sterling and Jack in the first hour.
You're
Todd,
welcome.
Yes, thanks. Todd, I didn't even want you to say you're welcome. I just wanted to thank you and pretty much have that be fake, and then we can move on. But no, thank you guys for filling in, and Todd and Lee Sterling. And now we hang out with Matt Derrick. Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. We'll talk with Kendall Gammon coming up at noon. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer about noon 30. We'll hear from Andy Reid on a Fast Friday at 1 o'clock. But Matt Derrick is with us. Matt, what's up, brother? How are you on this Friday?
Well, I was doing great until I got here at 10:45, and early for me, obviously.
Yeah.
No Jason.
Nope.
No Lebo. No Lee Sterling in the studio.
Nope.
All I found in the studio was
Chili from Joe's.
chili from Joe's, Sterling, Jack, and a bunch of onions.
Yeah, well, the onions are now gone because nothing ruins any meal like onions
I love onions.
or any
There's
aroma.
not really anything wrong with onions.
There's a lot of things wrong with onions. We're not going to get into all
Name
the things.
one.
They don't taste good.
They taste delectable.
No, they don't. They smell terrible.
They smell outstanding.
They ruin food.
They enhance food.
Sometimes they are the food. If you fry them.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
that's a bloomin' onion, baby.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
you're blooming high is what you are. I would
Could be.
agree with you, but we'd both be wrong. So, but Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. Matt, I want to talk about this Chiefs team and what happened in Buffalo and moving forward and whether there are issues that are there concerning things we've talked about this week, and then look ahead a little bit to the Panthers, but also take a bigger sort of view of the AFC. But with the breaking news of Daniel Jones being released by the New York Giants that came out in the previous hour, and Daniel Jones, one of the 3 terrible contracts in the NFL, number one with a wide gap between everybody else is Deshaun Watson,
There you go.
then Russell Wilson, and a decent gap, and then Daniel Jones, which was sort of the price of doing business that, hey, we either walk away from this guy or we pay him the money, and we know we're overpaying for a quarterback, but we're sort of comfortable and we'll put some pieces around him and we think he can get the job done. But that is not the case, and they've moved on from Daniel Jones. They're going with Tommy DeVito as the starting quarterback, and many people wondering why they're going with Tommy DeVito as the starting quarterback. I wanted to play this clip. Dylan yesterday brought this up yesterday. Dylan yesterday brought this up on the day that I just mentioned, which was yesterday. And that is during the Hard Knocks in the offseason, John Mara and Shane, talking about Saquon Barkley and the teams that are talking with Saquon. And at this point, it was like, hey, Philly's out. Philly's out on Saquon Barkley. And here's John Mara's. And I want you to hear not the Philadelphia part. Okay, so the Philadelphia part's in here. But what he says that makes it understandable why they are going with Tommy DeVito. Here's John Mara in talking about Saquon Barkley maybe going to the Eagles.
I'm going to have a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to Philadelphia, I'll tell you that. As I've told you, just being honest. I've been around enough players, so, but he's the most popular player we have by far. Yeah.
He's not the player that makes our offense go. He's not the player we can build around. He's not the player that makes Daniel Jones better. He's our most popular player. So why do you think they're going with Tommy DeVito over Drew Lock? Because Tommy DeVito's their second most popular player, and you're selling tickets if Tommy DeVito is your quarterback and not Drew Lock. I'm not joking.
I would like to think that there's some sort of 3D chess here and everything, at least, that they're just saying we're going with DeVito because we want to have the number 1 pick in the draft.
That would be fine too, but I do think it's New York fans are in love with DeVito.
Yeah.
They love watching him play. They love the story of growing up and the family and Cutlets as the nickname, and they love the whole thing, running around and creating plays and doing some of those things and being this scrappy little go-getter that, hey, I could see myself doing that, and I could see myself in Tommy DeVito's, shoes and that whole story. And I can't, I won't be able to sleep if Saquon Barkley. He's our most popular player by far. And he's your best player.
That was the miscalculation there.
But he's your most popular player.
Wait a minute. Let's back up for a moment on that whole just what makes this offense go?
Yeah, but Dylan brought that up yesterday of like John Marin, about Saquon Barkley, like Tommy DeVito, Drew Lock, like Saquon, the most popular player they're losing. Well, why are you going with Tommy DeVito? Because he's now your most popular player on the team, and you don't want your most popular player being a backup quarterback when you can just as easily play him and lose as you could Drew Lock and lose. I don't. It's a theory.
It's a good theory.
But shout out to Dylan for having that pop into my mind, and then of course Daniel Jones being released today adds a little more weight to that. To the Giants officially moving on from Daniel Jones. So we'll see what happens with Tommy Cutlets and Drew Lock the rest of the way.
Tommy Cutlets might be able to win a few games if he had somebody like Saquon Barkley in the backfield.
Won't happen. Nope. Not at all. Saquon. What has Saquon Barkley done for any team this year? I don't know anything. Like what he's joined a good offense. Like okay, cool. Like Jalen Hurts is making Saquon Barkley who he is this year. Saquon didn't elevate the Eagles' offense. The Eagles' offense elevated Saquon Barkley.
Sarcasm.
As I like to say, at any given moment in time, there are 8 NFL teams that do not know what they are doing at all. And the Giants, I mean, first of all, that off-season Hard Knocks was Exhibit A.
And Dylan's theory.
I said it's the only off-season Hard Knocks we'll ever see because no other franchise is allowing that access.
Every team that saw that, it was like, nope, we're not going to be a part of this
No
because
chance.
Which 8? So you have the Giants, the
We
Jets.
said at any given time. So like right now, who would the 8 be?
the Giants, Jets,
Raiders.
Giants, Jets,
Raiders,
Jacksonville, Panthers.
Especially with the owner.
They're getting close to out of the 8.
They're
but
working. They're trying, but they're
Browns
still in
probably.
there. Browns are permanent semi-members of that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who else.
They're a founding member. They are the there's like 7 rotating ones, but they're there.
That's 6 right now.
There's 6. I'm trying to remember who my other 2 are right now.
I mean, the Saints right now seem to be in a. The Saints every year. I mean, they just extended Alvin Kamara. I mean, come on. They're dealing with cap issues, and they just extended Alvin Kamara. Like, come on.
Chicago.
Yeah, the Bears. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
The Bears. With Eberflus still being the head coach there. And needing an offensive coordinator to go with Caleb Williams, so you hire a guy who you've already fired, and you interviewed Liam Cohen, and you said no thank you. And Liam Cohen goes down to Tampa and is coordinating that offense and putting up and looking that good.
And
he'll probably be the head coach of the Bears next year, by the way, Liam Cohen.
The one defining aspect of which 8 teams do not know what they're doing at any particular moment in time usually starts at the top.
Mm-hmm.
So it usually means that you have an owner that doesn't know what they're doing, is meddling.
Jerry Jones, Cowboys.
Maybe
Cowboys.
not meddling enough. The Cowboys should actually,
they're 8.
Kind of permanently be in there too. But
Colts fought themselves out of it because they started Anthony Richardson again.
And
so there's at least a plan.
Yeah, and they won that game. So yes.
I can't put the Colts in there. I mean, Irsay's crazy, but he generally lets his people do their own thing and doesn't interfere too much.
Yeah.
But I mean, even the Giants. I mean, and this is where I blame John Mara on a lot of it. I mean, even the last time the Giants had success, I mean, I think you still had the stink of Wellington Mara still on that team and everything, and it's just been since he's passed away that they've gotten away from their roots. And obviously John Mara does not know what he's doing. And 2, he meddles too much.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
I mean, both teams in New York. It's great to see it when you can't just simply buy your way
Woody
out of
Johnson
issues.
also has no idea what he's doing.
The Mara family is actually. I don't want to say they're the Rooney family because they're not even close, but they've been around football long enough and have had success as a family that they're not Woody Johnson. But boy, John he's close. He's not far off.
I just love watching 2 teams in New York that can't buy their way out of issues, that have to be smart, well-run organizations to succeed in a sport, and they are showing how awful, terribly run they are, but also showing that you can be a terribly run organization and just spend a bunch of money and win games in other sports, one of those being baseball. Not saying the Yankees are terribly run or the Mets or whatever, but you can buy your way out of a lot of issues there. You cannot do that in football. You've got to have the owner, the GM, the head coach, and the quarterback. If you've got those 4 things on solid ground, you are going to be a consistently good football team in the NFL. And the Chiefs on solid ground, whether the NFLPA survey is out there or not, Clark Hunt hires people lets him do the job. Veach knows what he's doing. Andy Reid knows what he's doing. Patrick Mahomes is one of the best. And Veach and Andy Reid are aligned in sort of their thinking of players and how they, work together and mesh and connect with the thought process overall and the coaching staff. And not a surprise, the Chiefs won 15 games in a row. And we see other owners that meddle. We see GMs coming and going. We see head coaches being rotated. We see quarterbacks being rotated, and you're screwed if you can't do that. Until you get the GM, head coach, and quarterback figured out, you're going to be a middle of the pack or lower tier team in the NFL. And that's the beauty of what the Chiefs have right now, and the security that's there for Chiefs fans is that you've got all of them set for a while. And who knows when the next year we'll be talking about without one of those guys being a part of the Chiefs organization. So they aren't going to be one of the 8 for a long time.
They're going to be okay for a little while. They're going to be winning takes care of a lot of ills. Although, I mean, once again, you point to the NFLPA survey, but then again, I mean, the Chiefs are, I think, a great example of an organization that if you're a player, you probably don't appreciate the Chiefs organization until you've gone and experienced another organization. Because there's plenty of things that you could point to with the Chiefs organization and say, you know what? I mean, clearly ownership is cheap. I mean, because, hey, the parking lot's too small and our locker room stinks and all of this. And you can rattle off and the weight room is too small and all of this. And then you could, hey, if you sign with the wrong team, you're going to end up somewhere else and be like, whoa, wait a minute. The Chiefs are pretty good. I mean,
I do have a bigger locker here, but good God, the rest of
the parking
lot's
lot's better here, but man, everything else stinks.
So you walk in the building and you understand how dysfunctional this place is, but it is a cool locker that I have, so that's great. Or the locker room ain't as good as you would prefer, but then you see free agents and guys that are traded that say, well, as soon as you walk in, you can tell the culture around here. You can understand how this place is run and why they're as successful an organization as they are. Now, I wouldn't expect them to say any different, But they also don't have to say that. They can go, well, what have I seen so far? It's early, I've been here, blah blah blah. But they're about winning.
That story about guys going around in Dallas and complaining about the fact that here they are trying to put together game plans and work and everything, and there's a tour group coming through.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
which happens a lot there at One Arrowhead Drive. A lot of tours while Andy Reid and Matt Nagy are there talking and putting a game plan together. Yeah, a lot of just random people that are walking around and checking out the place.
I mean, I could be wrong, but
doubtful.
And you can be a non-football VIP post game, even during the game, and get. I mean, because we've seen it. I mean, there are certainly rules that get broken. I mean, like one rule technically in the NFL gets broken all the time, is that only players and media are allowed in certain places.
Yeah.
Post game locker room and like the media work in the media room, the interview room, post game, only supposed to be for players, coaches, and media. I mean, hey, you're going to see Eric Stone Street in there. Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Everything like that.
Dennis Quaid or whoever.
but if it's a work day and everything, I mean, about the only VIPs I think that are getting in to the players only area and the coaches only area at One Arrowhead Drive are probably guys like John Gruden. I mean, I don't know if celebrities are getting go inside One Arrowhead Drive during the workday because I've never seen them there.
Yeah, I mean, even Eric Stone Street, that's like having fun on the sidelines during training camp.
He's
not hanging out in the meetings.
Exactly
when that stuff is going on.
No. He's family, so
yeah. Well, it's that's right.
And
he's,
there's
Randy Reid.
There's no tours over at One Arrowhead Drive. I mean, you can take a tour of the stadium, but
they don't even really want you guys walking around.
No, exactly. I mean,
you guys are sniffing around for information. So that's
my key card access does not open very many doors over there.
It's one, and sometimes it doesn't even do that.
One, and that doesn't work on Saturdays. Exactly. Monday night game, you got to let somebody let you in the building.
That's great. Visiting with Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. All right, let's talk about this team. They lose to the Bills. They sit 9-1 right now. They're still the 1 seed. It's a little closer now with the Bills. The Steelers losing last night. There's more separation between the Chiefs, Bills, and everybody else. Essentially, it's going to be Chiefs or Bills as the 1 seed or the 2 seed. They'll figure that out as the rest of the season goes along. But they lose the game. I listened to 41 is the Mike podcast. I enjoyed it. If you haven't heard it, you should go check it out. And obviously you guys brought up, great points throughout. And I have, of course, enjoyed the small rant. Usually it's Nick, the one that's doing the rants.
Yes.
So I appreciated even you were like, I'm going to have a small rant. It's not going to be a Nick Jacobs rant, but it'll be a smaller rant at the end, talking about some of the sky is falling. One of the things that I was just sort of wondering from your perspective, since the game has taken place, because I've always given a little bit of grace directly after the game. Like I joked on Monday with Jack and Dylan and Sterling, but Jack and Dylan, who were doing the post game, where they had a caller that Andy Reid doesn't know how to coach. Travis Kelce doesn't care anymore. Chris Jones is lazy. What else was it was all like
Sterling, why did you call into the postgame show?
Right, yeah. I mean,
I
it was
so calm, man. I was just
Brett
like, this sucks.
Brett Veach is clueless. They have a cornerback issue. Brett Veach doesn't know what he's doing. I just love that Travis Kelce doesn't care anymore when like he's had 4 games in a row with double-digit receptions, but this one he struggled. Chris Jones isn't good. Like those things, all right, I get it. There are going to be some people like that. I give a little bit of grace to directly after the game and an emotional reaction. But this week, as you've watched it, have you seen that same sort of, sky is falling? Or, what I've seen is a lot of, there's some issues here, but, they're still the best team in the NFL. And maybe I'm seeing different things, but your reaction, I enjoyed the rant, though, because I think it was appropriate in, this team is 9-1. They just lost a good game.
Yeah.
They lost a game to a good team with a superstar quarterback who made plays. Guess what? We've seen that on the flip side a lot. Chiefs have beaten good teams where a superstar quarterback made plays, and there ain't anything wrong with going to the Bills and losing that game that was closer than 9 points.
Yes, and and I heard Tim Grunhard this morning on Border Patrol, and Grunny said, echo exactly what I think I said during that podcast, and what I still believe is that this game came down to about 4 plays, and Buffalo made all 4 plays. If the Chiefs make 2 of them, they probably win this game.
Yeah.
If Mahomes doesn't throw the interception on the first drive, that's a big one right there. If the Chiefs get a stop on 4th and 2, game's completely different.
Or 3rd and 9 with 4.5 minutes to play.
If 3rd and 9, exactly. If Xavier Worthy drags the toe, it's any one of those plays goes a different direction. It's a totally different game. 2, I think the Chiefs win.
Yeah.
And that's how close this team is. But the other point I would make, and what I think is still kind of a persistent, concern for Chiefs fans out there, is that, one, you nitpick this team to death. Because first of all, that's the thing. They've won back-to-back Super Bowls. They're 9-1. They just had a 15-game winning streak. Anything that you are talking about this team, we're grading on a massive curve. Mm-hmm. We're grading Patrick Mahomes on his own curve.
You're grading them against themselves.
I've had people who are talking about Mahomes struggling and being the worst of his career. There's still at least 15 quarterbacks, if not more, in the NFL who would trade Patrick Mahomes' season right now for their own. He's even at a level that I think he would even say is not his best football. It's still fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And 2, once again, we come back to the fact that this team, how's to turn it on. And they figured out last year, hey, wait a minute, we don't have to turn it on technically until January. So, I think that they obviously know how to win close games, all of this. And when you look at the other teams around the league, they are more battle-tested than anybody else. The Lions are a great team. I look at the Lions' schedule, though, and I wonder, gosh, are they going to get upset in the divisional round? Because that's going to be the toughest game they've played all year by far.
Yeah.
And it's going to be at a speed that they have not played all season. Are they just going to be ready and used to it? Chiefs played 17 of those by the time the playoffs come around. So, we are grading on this massive scale, and we're nitpicking, talking about, hey, Chiefs, is the left tackle good enough to win a Super Bowl? Their left tackle play last year wasn't actually that good either. Concerned about, hey, is their cornerback number 2 good enough to win a Super Bowl? Bills fans, even coming off this victory, they've got more concerns about their own team than the Chiefs have about theirs. So, that's just the thing, is that I think you get so into it with your own team that you forget everybody's got problems. There's no perfect team in the NFL. Chiefs aren't perfect, but they're closer to perfect than a lot of other teams are.
So let's talk about a couple of things that came from this. Are there any issues from this game that you think are macro things that potentially could be fatal flaws in the postseason? while we're looking at the micro breakdown of this game, is there anything that was exposed there in a game against a good team that from the bigger picture view, if that happens again in the playoffs, we're talking about, hey, we're spending the offseason saying, why did they not win the Super Bowl? What happened in that game, and what do they need to fix?
Yeah, that's I think the right question to ask.
Yes, I did it. All right, guys, let's take a break. We'll come back, and should we hand it over to Seren now, or what do we do?
That gets a helmet sticker.
What's high score mean? Did I break it? Can we not play anymore? Go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, there are things that happen in that game that you come out of it and you look at it and you're like, okay, I think they reinforce some of the concerns that you might have. I mean, one for me, obviously, is that the Chiefs aren't getting the quarterback on the ground enough. They're not hitting the quarterback enough. So, you can talk about pressures all you want, but, and I know, hey, you can look at it and see that sometimes pressures don't always correlate with sacks. There's not a correlation there. You can have the exact same number of pressures with one team. One team might have 55, another team might have 19. I mean, that's kind of where the Chiefs are right now, because the last 2 years, they did a really good job of getting the quarterback on the ground. They're not doing that as well this year. Pressures really aren't. Pressure rate's not really changed that much.
Yeah, I pointed out yesterday, just to emphasize your point, there's a player out there with 38 pressures and a 21% win rate. And there's a player out there with 27 pressures and a 13.5% win rate. Player A with all those pressures has 2 sacks. Player B with those pressures and 7% lower win rate has 8 sacks. Player A is Yaya Diaby and player 2 is TJ Watt. So
there you go.
Pressures don't always end up being sacks, and I'd rather have the sacks over the pressures, or you can just be Trey Hendrickson that's leading the league in pressures and sacks, whatever.
That'd be nice. Sure.
You can be that guy too. But
yeah, I mean, sacks are great because they're negative plays. I mean, if you're putting the
they
team,
can be drive killers.
They can be drive. They are drive killers.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
If they're not turnovers, they're drive killers for sure. I mean, you don't get a sack often and end up having a scoring drive. I mean, usually that really torpedoes your drive right there. So having those would be nice. The Chiefs aren't getting enough pressure on the quarterback, especially with their front four. That was a known issue. You come out of this Bills game saying, okay, 0 sacks. That's a problem. That's a concern. And I mean, to me, offensive line also kind of the same thing. I mean, you're continuing to see and that's the problem, is that the offensive line I didn't think played that badly, but when your quarterback gets hit on his first 3 dropbacks, you set a tone that for the rest of the game. And that's why I think that, hey, one, it felt like there was more pressure on Mahomes because you saw that. You got right off the bat, you saw, hey, first 3 snaps, he gets knocked on the ground. And then you see Mahomes kind of skitterish the rest of the game. And when you see him kind of getting a little foot happy and everything, you're thinking he's under pressure. Sometimes he's not. I mean, sometimes. But that's the problem, is that you get hit on, the first couple of dropbacks of the game. All of a sudden, if you're the quarterback, even if you're Patrick Mahomes, you feel pressure that's not there sometimes. So, I mean, I felt like that was, that was just a bad tone to get the game off on. And not only does it get your quarterback in the wrong frame of mind, but I think even as a fan, you start thinking, okay, well, it's going to be one of those games, and nothing can get you out of it. Even if the offensive line does okay the rest of the game. And I thought they were okay. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
But once again, I mean, if you're going to win a Super Bowl, by and large, you're going to have to win at the point of contact. I mean, your attack. You're going to have to win at the line of scrimmage. Right now, that's a struggle for this team.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue hanging out with Matt Derrick. Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. We'll talk about on the defensive side moving forward. And then I also want to get his thoughts on if he has a theory on some of the early drive issues. We talked with Adam Teicher about this on Tuesday based on Patrick Mahomes on Sunday after the game saying we need more urgency throughout the game as opposed to what we did that final drive, the final touchdown drive, not the final drive when they were down 9. But so we'll talk about that and some other things, Shamari Connor, Najee Johnson, some things on the defense. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling more so next. one more night, and I'm coming. Red Riding Road.
I'm on my way.
Sweetheart.
Question: do you guys remember when the Royals used this for like a hype video?
Nope.
No, really?
No, I actually don't know.
Oh, it was electric.
Is it
Dylan,
recent?
you remember that?
Is it recent?
No, it was during the World Series.
Oh, okay.
14, 15. I forget what year it was.
That would have been electric then when it was that group of players. Yeah.
Oh,
for
it was
sure.
awesome.
That's awesome. Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast, lover of power ballads, joining us here. Chiefs get ready for the Panthers coming up this weekend. I want to get your thoughts on a theory with early drives for the Chiefs and what we've seen from them, or oftentimes not seen from them. So I went and looked with the inspiration of Patrick Mahomes saying the urgency needs to be there throughout the game and not just in the fourth quarter when they need scores, when they need touchdowns and need to make plays. And they've done that. They've made plays to a pretty high degree this year, as evidenced by being undefeated. One general stat for the season, which is interesting, first and third quarter for the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes specifically, has 145 pass attempts. He's got 2 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in the first and third quarter. In the second and fourth quarter, he has 195 pass attempts, so 50 more. He has 13 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in the second and fourth quarter. So a little bit of, coming out slow from the first quarter and the second half. Then second quarter, all of a sudden, hey, we need these drives before we go into halftime. Put some points on the board. Maybe it's a little more hurry up. Maybe it's a little more urgency to get the ball down. Fourth quarter, we got to do this to go and score to win the game. So a little more urgency, and all of a sudden Mahomes is 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But one of the other things, Matt, was looking at the first drives of the game and then the first 2 drives of the game. So they've had 10 drives of the first of the game. They've scored a total of 24 points, 3 touchdowns, 1 field goal. So they are scoring on 40% of their opening drives. Now, we've had times when we've talked about the Chiefs only scored on their opening drive and then they went silent for like 2 or 3 quarters. Like, what the hell happened? It was so easy. They just drove right down the field. I think we talked about that last year. Like, they're scoring on their opening, like the Dolphins. Boom, right down the field. So easy. And then silent, it felt like, for a good portion of that game. There are 2 turnovers on their opening drive. 3 touchdowns, 1 field goal, 3 punts, and 2 turnovers. What's even more fascinating to me is the second drive of the game. So in my mind, in theory, it's like you go out there, you get the butterflies out, you get the juices going, you come off the field, you look at the tablet. Okay, now we got an idea. Now we're in the game. 10 drives of their second drives of the game. They have 1 touchdown and 1 field goal. They have scored twice out of those 10 drives. They have 5 punts and 3 turnovers. Yikes. Meaning the first 2 drives of the game, Matt, 20 drives, they've scored 34 points, 1.7 points per drive. They have 4 touchdowns, 2 field goals, 8 punts, and 6 turnovers this year.
Yikes.
And in fact, they have played 5 games out of the 10. So half the games they have played so far, they have a turnover on their first or second drive of the game. What do you think is going on with that? I mean, I wanted to go back and look because Mahomes was like, we need urgency throughout the entire game, and when we start, not just at the end. And I'm like, man, it does feel like the beginning of games aren't the same that they used to be. But I didn't think it was that stark for their first and second drive, having that many 3-and-outs, punts, turnovers, and putting yourself behind the 8 ball when you're starting offensively, and almost feel like you're trying to climb uphill at that point.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing you would probably point to is the script, because that's those first 2 drives. I mean, it's the first 15, 20 plays, which are supposed to be Chiefs' bread and butter. I mean, that's what's Andy Reid's supposed to be so good at, is the opening script. I mean, there's something that tells me that either, one, you're getting too cute and too complicated, that maybe you're running some things that aren't your bread and butter, or things that you're really, have down pat that are going to work. Or 2, you're too predictable, that maybe you're going the other direction. Maybe you're just showing teams and running things that teams are ready for. So they know what's coming and everything. And I think we certainly have seen some evidence of that. I mean, And, there could be other factors. I mean, it's usually in these things, and I feel like that's the same thing with a lot of the, anything you want to point to, like if it's the, what's kind of holding back Mahomes right now, if you want to put it that way, because his numbers aren't what he's normally used to. There's not one explanation. I mean, it's not just one thing. There's probably a little lever that has a little bit of involvement in everything. So it's not just one thing, but that does, I mean, if I'm Andy Reid looking at those numbers, that's the first thing I would just have to take a look at is like, what position are we putting these players in? Are we just putting them in bad spots? Are we giving them things that are just either over their heads and not working, or are we too predictable?
Also, like, are there circumstantial things here? Is there something that's tangible? 5 of Mahomes' 11 interceptions this year have come on the first or second drive of the game. So is he being too cavalier with the football early on because you've got a whole game to make up for it, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, I can't take any risk. I've got to read it, throw it, on time. Let's get the chains going. Here we go. And, not going to do something crazy and put the ball in harm's way in the first quarter. Maybe I'll take a chance here. Maybe I'll hold it a little bit longer for a second-level throw to come open, which means I might get pressured, or it might be a tighter window where maybe in the fourth quarter this is my read, it's open. I don't care if it's 5 yards. I want 15. We're taking 5 right now, and we're continuing to move. I have no idea if that's the case. It's just odd that 5 of his 11 interceptions on the first 2 drives of the game this year.
But if that was the case, I think you'd see more explosive plays early, which I don't think we really have, right? Yeah. If it's more risk reward early on, which again could make some sense, we haven't seen the reward part of it. We've only seen the risk.
Mm-hmm. And maybe there's maybe the reward has been there. And a block here or there, or a misread on a wide receiver. Like that was one of my but go ahead. You were going to ask something. I didn't want to change the subject.
You're good, but kind of along that line, you said last game, the first 3 dropbacks, Mahomes got hit those all 3 times. Has that been a trend for the offensive line? Have they gotten, I don't know if you have this, but have they gotten better as the game's gone on, but the damage has been done where Mahomes no longer trusts them. He goes in trying to trust, but then the first 3, and then they get their feet underneath them, if you will, and then things look better, but Mahomes is still not trusting them. Have you noticed that as a trend, or is this more of a one-off?
That's a good question. I mean, I haven't really looked at it specifically, so I don't know. I mean, it kind of feels like that's probably the case a little bit, that the offensive line has been struggled more at the beginning and maybe kind of gets into their groove as the game goes on. The other thing, you talk about this, things that I would look at. I mean, first thing I would look at is how's this team doing on first down? I mean, is that the problem? Is it the first down plays are failing, therefore you're getting, kind of behind the 8 ball because you don't want to be in 2nd and 10. You don't want to be in 2nd and 8. So is that the problem you're putting yourself into? I would also, some of those, I would also look at Mahomes' numbers just on the ground. Is he scrambling? Is he running on those first 2 possessions? Because that would be my other thought with the turnovers is Mahomes just staying in the pocket and forcing the ball and deciding, hey, it's early in the game, I'm going to throw it. I'm not going to try and take off and start running yet. It's too early. Is he trying to make plays with his arm early on, whereas in the same situation in the fourth quarter, second quarter, before halftime, whatever it may be, he's like, no, I'm going to take off here. I'm not going to throw it because nobody's open. I'm going to take off. Or is he just really trying to force it early on?
Yeah, it's a good point. Looking at this year, when you're wondering about like first and second down, if we're looking at just specifically Patrick Mahomes and just those counting stats of touchdowns, interceptions, which is one of the things we're talking about, the turnovers. On first and second down, he's got 7 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. He has 1 interception on third down. Now, he's got a number of touchdowns because they had those back-to-back games where they were getting 3rd and goal passing touchdowns. Like and they were converting, and that was great because they were killing it in the red zone and goal-to-go situations. But he's got 255 attempts on first and second down, not a surprise. But 7 touchdowns, 9 interceptions on first and second down. He only has 1 interception on third down. His other interception, 11th of the season, was on 4th down against the Bills on Sunday. So, but third down, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. So I don't know if it's maybe early on in the downs, taking more chances. Third down, move the chains. That's what's on my mind. I do know that he's got more rushing attempts on third. Like, he runs more on third down. And I think that's where that superstar sort of winner comes through, in that this is what it takes to get the first down. This is what it takes. Now, first and second down, I'll trust the pocket a little bit more, maybe, and maybe take more chances here. Third down, I can't take a chance. We got to extend the drive. All right, we got to get a first down. First and second down, okay, we got a couple downs to play with here.
And maybe this is just a byproduct of what, as a Chiefs fan, you have to live with and accept at this kind of point.
And by the way, I'll raise my hand. I'm willing to do that.
Because
I'm willing to live with the flaws of Patrick Mahomes.
Wow, Jason.
I'm going to do that. I will do it.
Thank you.
I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record here or anything, but, once again, I mean, the Chiefs, every single week, every single down, are getting the other team's best effort. I mean, nobody phones it in against the Chiefs.
For sure.
That even if you're the Buffalo Bills, and maybe even if especially if you're the Buffalo Bills, because once again, that game meant a lot more to them than it did the Chiefs, you're dialing it on every single play. If you're the Chiefs, you can't match that on every single play. Mm-hmm. So, even though those numbers right there kind of tell me, you know what, okay, Mahomes is kind of coasting maybe a little bit on first and second down. Third down's when he really is locking in.
Yeah.
And it probably applies to the entire team. They do it the same way. I mean, just like we're talking about this here, I mean, the Chiefs team that you're seeing, once again, their goal was not to beat the Buffalo Bills in Week 11. Their goal this season was to win a Super Bowl. Everything that they're doing is a setup and a prelude to that. Even like with the guys, I mean, if you're talking about getting Hollywood back and when you get Charles Omenihu and Isaiah Pacheco back, everything that this organization is doing is about making sure you're playing your best football in January and February. And who cares what happens in November and December? I mean, that's the mentality. So, I mean, if you're going to live with that, and if that's the thing is that you're going to have a team that doesn't worry about first and second down, or that's not their main focus, 18 weeks of the season, but they're dialed in January and February, I'll take that.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
if you got to save your energy and your focus for the most important games and the plays of the season, I'm okay with that.
I don't know. I think you need to really be on your A game against the Panthers. That's the game I think that that's the one that we need to see the Chiefs play good in. That's the one.
I mean, if you're the Chiefs, you would like to play well this weekend.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's no, you don't need to dial up to 11 this week.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling. More Matt Derrick next. quote-unquote picking on Najee Johnson, or are we highlighting a couple of big plays that happened in the game that were pretty close to being incomplete passes, both of them to Amari Cooper when there was one-on-one coverage?
I mean, I feel like, especially the one down the right sideline, down toward the end zone, I mean, how do you defend that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and Spag said the exact same thing.
The first drive of the game, the left sideline, or the one that was reviewed?
The one on the right sideline was reviewed.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, that one, perfect throw.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, one-handed catch. I mean, you can't defend that. I mean, even I think had Najee covered that absolutely perfectly. I mean, there's nothing you can do there. I mean, it was a perfect route, perfect throw. I mean, Chiefs make some of those too. I mean, you can't. You just those you just tip your hat to and everything like that. I mean, and let's face it. One, it's not picking on Najee. It's staying away from Trent McDuffie.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody does that. So, but I feel like Nazee's held his own. I mean, I don't think he's been playing terrible. And those two catches to Cooper, I don't put on Najee at all. I mean, I think that the first one. Hey, could have been better, but once again, I think it was a really good throw, really good catch.
Yeah, Najee Johnson played 100% of the snaps, so this is not a Najee or Josh Williams. They've made their decision that it's Najee Johnson they're moving forward with. The only thing, and he's not Trent McDuffie, so this is not to say, well, Trent McDuffie would have done this, so why didn't you do that? Because Trent McDuffie's a freaking all-pro, okay? The only thing on that first throw on 3rd and 7 down the left sideline when he was there and his head got turned around a little bit late, to me it's not even turning his head late. One of the things that is so good about McDuffie, that is a small thing that sort of gets overlooked, is how many times down the sideline do you see Trent McDuffie guarding somebody, and that receiver is hugging the sideline because McDuffie is so good at bodying the guy and slowly eating up that space between the red line and the sideline. And if McDuffie was one-on-one, I wouldn't think that Cooper would be able to just run down the red line with Najee Johnson next to him. That McDuffie does a pretty good job of closing that gap and almost forcing that receiver to a degree in that technique. But Nazee's not Trent McDuffie. McDuffie's an all-pro because people in the NFL see those small little things that a cornerback does and closes off and squeezes that gap and chokes that gap from the red line to the sideline.
But even there, I mean, Najee did kind of what you're saying is that he used the sideline as an extra defender. I mean, he was forcing that to say, okay, if you're going to complete this pass, I mean, you're going to have to do it to the sideline. I'm not giving you inside so you can get a touchdown here and a bigger play. Forcing you to the sideline, defend that, and use the boundary as a defender, almost worked on the second on the one down the right sideline.
You got a score in mind for Chiefs and Panthers this weekend?
I mean, Chiefs are the better team. They should win this one. I mean, the Panthers have a woeful run defense, and the pass defense is not much better. Offense, I just don't see much either. So, 31-17 Chiefs in my book.
31-17 Chiefs.
Going with a blowout that I don't normally go with.
A blowout, 14 points for the Chiefs does constitute a blowout.
It does. I mean, that's
it'd be the highest margin of victory.
Especially if it was like 31-10 and it's just a late touchdown to get you there.
That makes it a little different too. Matt, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother.
Take care, my friends.
All right, Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike podcast. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk with Kendall Gammon coming up next.
Maybe because he spent 15 years looking at it upside down. He knows exactly how many times the ball will rotate on a long snap, and he'll juggle anything you throw at him. It's Kendall Gammon in the Zone. Brought to you by Crown Toyota and Crown Volkswagen. Recognized as the #1 place to buy a new or pre-owned vehicle. Visit crownautomotive.com to see the latest deals. Experience the Crown difference.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you. Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. That's right, hanging out with Kendall Gammon, presented by Crown Toyota and Crown Volkswagen, as he joins us on this Friday here in studio. Kendall, what is up, brother? How are you?
Not much. Good to see you guys. Good to be back in studio.
It is good to see you. It's good to be seen. And this Chiefs team ends up dropping a game. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. But last night was a pleasure watching the football on the TV. And typically Thursday night football games are not that.
Right.
But for the most part, the uniforms, it was a fun uniform game, and you've got the snow, and you've got an AFC North battle. You've played in Pittsburgh, and you've played those Pittsburgh and Cleveland games, and they hate each other and everything. Do you have a preferable weather or element to play football in? Is it as 45 and sunny? That's what I'd love to play football in. Or like last night, Jameis Winston was like, thank God I get to play in this game.
I was going to say a dome is what I prefer. But in general, you know what it is. I never worried about anything I couldn't control. It stresses you, but why worry about it? And certainly don't talk about it after the game. Like that's the reason.
It's the reason you
as I'm alluding to something.
Does it make it a lot harder, for the long snapper in that situation? How much harder does that snow and wind?
Wind is an issue. Snow, not so much, and certainly rain and moisture. For the quarterback, for the long snapper, certainly. Wind, I've had a few games in my career over 15 years where a couple times it was crazy. I literally aimed and threw the ball outside of the frame of the punter, and the ball came back in.
Wind's the worst.
Wind is the worst.
I hate
You're
it.
right.
I can't stand wind. Growing up playing basketball and playing basketball
outside
a lot,
Yep.
I'd rather play basketball in the rain than play basketball
Concur.
in the sun and wind.
There you
Golf with the wind, brutal.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not
Don't
sure.
get me started there.
I'm
no,
assuming
and I
it's
won't.
tough.
Don't get me started.
I'm not gonna
My kids are glad I played football for a living.
I'm not going to get either of you started on wind and golf.
I was going to say my hands, though, I'd have to imagine not for golf, for long snapping in that weather. I just figured that'd be so hard to keep your hands warm enough to get some sort of feel to get that ball back there.
We have the hand warmers, and then you have all those little bags that you open up.
Accoutrements,
whatever you want to call them. Yes, I wouldn't know the
Was
word,
it?
but keeps your
Well done.
keeps
If
your
that's what
hands
right.
warm.
Yeah.
That's not what they're called.
We don't know
Oh,
that
sorry.
it's not right.
I just went along
Are
with
we
you.
fact checking? Are we fact checking?
I'm not.
No,
I'm just
okay.
gonna-
Anybody fact checking?
Just
right
going to
now?
assume that's
Yeah,
right.
Just
yes,
let
we're
me
gonna go
let
with
me
that.
have this. Just
I'm-
let me,
you got
make
it.
me feel
Absolutely.
smart.
It's
But
yours.
So really the hands, though, you keep them warm right up until you get down and get over the ball. So it's not too bad. But, slick balls, cold games are tough, too, because the ball just gets so hard and slick and whatnot. So, anyhow, that's what it is.
Yeah, I was driving to pick up my daughter from dance last night, and I was listening to Westwood One. and now let's go to the stadium with your play-by-play announcer, Ian Eagle, and Mike Golick. So they're talking about it, and Ian is talking about the weather. And Mike Golick goes, because he was asking Mike Golick, and Golick said, you know what? He said, if there's a lot of rain, he said, I found it to be better for gripping the football. He's like, just a little bit of rain always bothered me. It always felt like the football was a little more slick when it was just a light rain for whatever reason. He's like, when it would just rain, he said, it would almost make the football a little stickier and the leather a little more, soft, that I could hold on to it more. I have no idea if that's the case.
I almost
with
feel like
you.
it would be like the opposite,
Yes.
where
A little bit of rain would,
It's like
yes,
when the quarterbacks will,
lick their fingers and just to get a little bit of a grip.
like moisture, just a little moisture.
I thought the same thing, and that's why I'm like, you know what, I'm going to ask Kendall that, because you played in rain games or light rain, but Golick was like, I'd rather it rain more. It almost feels like the football is a little softer and easier to grip.
I don't know if my caveman mind can grip, can grasp all that and know one way or the other. I know when I played in Oakland one time where we literally they said they had like 7 inches of rain in the hour and a half preceding the game. When we played, there was when I was snapping, I would hold the ball up and have it touching the water, because if I let it lay on the ground, it was like 3 inches.
It was in a
the
puddle?
water. Yeah, it was that bad. And everything they say about Oakland and what that field really is absolutely true. that was a stressful day. But I remember that one. For me, a big thing about, I throw a ball, you snap a ball, you use both hands, so you get the pressure. So it's not just the grip. It's the fact that you have equal pressure with both hands. So that allows you to deal with maybe not having as good a grip.
Do you notice the cold? Like, I've always wondered if players notice it as much when you're actually in the flow of the game, because even the coaches, you don't really notice it as much.
Not as much unless it's just unbelievable. I mean, I played a -10 game.
Yeah, like
things like that are ridiculous.
Then you're going to notice. But like if it's because I was on the sideline, you see Mike Tomlin, and he's a coach. He's not bundled up.
He's wearing a hoodie.
He's wearing like a hoodie, and his mustache and beard is just frozen. And I'm like, he doesn't even look like he's noticing this. I'm like, and again, I get it. I'm soft. I hate the cold. So I full transparency, hate the cold. I get that. But it just looks like it doesn't bother these guys sometimes. So I wondered if you really ever noticed it.
You do notice it to a degree, but really, I always said this in the stadium. The players are the ones that are warmest in there because we've got all kinds of cold weather gear on.
Sure.
Make no mistake, probably Tomlin. I know with the Chiefs and some of the coaches. I know Alan Wright, head equipment manager. I think he's the longest tenured employee with the Chiefs, and he does a great job. Like they have battery heated vests and things for the coaches and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of technology now that really keeps you warm. Plus, you see the benches that have the heat running through them as well.
Yeah.
Do they make a point that offensive and defensive linemen aren't allowed to wear sleeves no matter what the weather
No,
is?
some guys just think they want to be tough. I mean, I was not that person. Even when I was big, 310 at one point in time, so I had a fur coat around me the whole time. But if it's cold, I'm putting sleeves on.
Yeah, I think it was funny, like watching last night, you see all the skill position players, some linebackers, safeties, guys wearing sleeves and things, and then you see the offensive and defensive line just bare skin from the shoulder down.
I'm rocking a hoodie and throwing the jersey over it. Like
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of them will do the Vaseline on the arms that closes the pores and it keeps you warm as well. Apparently, that drove me absolutely bonkers.
Because that would be just
batty.
too slick.
I wanted I didn't do it, but I didn't want anybody near me with that stuff. Anything that was slick on my hands to affect the grip of the ball. I can remember the late Kevin Green, Pro Football Hall of Fame, when he's a D and with the Steelers. I remember one game beforehand, he was spraying silicone on his jersey, allegedly, and then he was right next to me, and he just kind of joked and sprayed some at me, and I went ballistic. I was just like, no, you cannot do that. I mean, I don't care if it's on my jersey, but that gets on my hands, we've got issues.
Yeah.
So yeah,
this is my these two things are my livelihood.
How dry are you keeping your hands? That you're like wearing mittens around them?
Oh, I was bad. I mean, I never wore any sunscreen or anything my entire career, being out in the not just pregame, but like the training camp and things like that, and I should have been or whatever. But I was just so paranoid of that, so I can't. Me and like hand lotion, no, can't do it. To this day, anything that gets on my hands that doesn't allow me to have a grip on a football game.
What kind of hand? Now this is a test study. We now have a test study of if like lotion's bad for your hands, if it actually makes it worse.
Well, he
what
looks
do your
like
hands look like? You look like they have great hands.
He could be a hand model. I mean, he's taking care of those things.
Thank you.
Well, no, that's no lotion, huh?
It is.
Wow.
No, more you can do.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yes,
Look at that
thank you.
hand model.
Big lotion.
Wow.
Big lotion is really
Makes
tricky,
sense.
you guys. Big lotion is really.
Oh man, we're hitting the hard subjects today.
It makes total sense. Guys, pitchers take care of their arms.
Yeah.
Long snappers take care of their hands.
They do.
That's a great point. Kendall Gammon is our guest. The Bills took care of the Chiefs' undefeated season, and they are now 9-1. What can a loss do for a team? If you've won a number of games in a row, is there an element of glossing over issues when you win? Is that more of you put a positive spin on a loss of like, okay, now you're really focused on the issues that are there? Is there something to that when you lose a game that maybe you learn more from a loss than a win?
There could be, but in my experience, there wasn't. I can remember Cowher was very big on that. There was many times during my years with the Steelers where we'd win a game, but we didn't play great, and he would bring it up. Of course, he played the game, so I think that helped as well. But yeah, no, I think because there's been so many one-score games, I've been saying it all along, which I think internally inside that locker room, they're still looking at things like, dude, we could have lost this game just as easily as we won it. And to me, that was an easier way to keep yourself humble and keep going after things, in my opinion. So, yeah.
But do you think? It's. I would hope it's that's the case.
I don't think you completely are. I mean, I think they would have the same thought process had they won that game as opposed to lose it, because there's just a lot of things they didn't do well.
I think I'm more with Kendall on this too, especially after the Broncos game with the block kick at the
Right,
very end. Like
yeah.
if that right there wasn't the wake up call, or that's like if you had to have that see that kick go in instead of blocking for you to be like, oh, we got to work on some things. I think it's a little maybe I get where we're coming from, because the Chiefs have lost one game in the past about 365 days.
Right.
So you're almost looking for a silver lining. I think the silver lining is the Bills are just a really good team, and the Chiefs lost on the road to a really good team. Bills played almost A game for them, and the Chiefs played about a C game. They played about an average game. It wasn't like the Chiefs.
I think that's fair.
Weren't horrendous. Maybe even a C plus game. I think the Chiefs played a fine game.
Yeah, they were okay. I mean, it was they go up against a good team that made plays. The Chiefs had a number of plays and opportunities that were there. It wasn't like they just got dominated. Right. I do think there's a level, and we'll see. I would say if the Chiefs come out these next couple of weeks and the blocking's better, and the pressure on the quarterback is there, and they're bringing, or some of these small little things that showed up in the loss that showed up in other games in which they did not lose, then I would wonder if there's something more of like
That's a
they
fair
were
statement.
just going through and not going through the motions, but like going through and, hey, we won that game. We'll fix this as the season goes along. We keep winning these games. We keep working and working. If there's we just lost, these are the reasons we lost. I mean, but the other thing is, like, even as I say that, Kendall, I come back to the Chiefs aren't going to sit there and go, oh my God, these coaches are telling us to do this. We won. Why are they worried about that?
I agree.
Why are they worried about me giving up that sack? We won the game. Why are they worried about me giving up that long pass? Yeah, I missed the tackle in the open field, but we won the game. Who cares? Like, that's not going on.
It is
Everybody's self-reflecting personally. I just wonder what they'll look like over the next few weeks if some of these things do start to get fixed.
Yeah.
If it was because of a loss, or if it's just a natural progression through the season that they continue to work at things that are deficiencies.
And I think it's important to not get too hard on yourself. Understand you can do things better, but still you've got to take into account the fact that we're still 9-1. We're still number one in the AFC right now. Obviously the buffer's not as big, but in general, you just keep going after it. I mean, it's a long season. It is just one game. I think Buffalo really played up the fact that this wasn't the huge deal to them, that they've got to win it in the playoffs, and that's true. But I think they're very up for this game.
They had to win it if they
wanted
really
any
did.
Chance. Yeah, otherwise they're 4 behind as opposed to 1, right?
100%. Yeah, if the Chiefs would have won last night or on Sunday, and the Steelers lose last night, Chiefs would have 7 games left. That would be sort of a 60% pressure rate to go and win the game to get the 1 seed. Like, you'd be coasting to a degree. Like, you'd have 7 games left with a 4-game lead over these teams. Like, 3-game lead, and you'd be playing the Steelers, but the Steelers are not going to only have 3 losses by the time the Chiefs play the Steelers late in the season. And I wonder a team that would be, for lack of a better term, going through the motions throughout the season, playing out the string maybe is better. Playing out the string to get to the postseason. Is it easy to get right back into that full competitive, on the edge of, nut job?
Right.
This guy's a maniac. Where but you also have to stay focused while you're playing. Like, that level of play in the playoffs is such a that intensity is there. Can you go from going through the season, playing out the string, to then, well, we're playing a team that has played for their lives the last 4 weeks.
Right.
And now here we are. Now we're going to show that we're playing for our lives.
I think that's a fair statement. I think it would be hard. I can't imagine it would be unprecedented almost, I would think, to have locked it up, with the bye with 2 or 3 games to go. And to there, I think it would be easier to let up a little bit, but you've still got to play your starters and whatnot. So I can't imagine. But, you talk about some of those things. I mean, there's a lot of tough games for the Chiefs coming up, no doubt about it. I think that Pittsburgh one is huge for a lot of different reasons. Go in there. I'm gonna tell you, Mike Tomlin. I don't know who's the coach of the year, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. That is just a damn good coach. I mean, I know last night notwithstanding, but all the same, he's done some good things in Pittsburgh.
You know that Mike Tomlin hasn't won a single coach of the year
ever.
Ever.
Andy hasn't either, correct?
And Kevin Stefanski has 2.
Yeah, Stefanski has 2.
Does Andy have one?
He doesn't have one? I thought he had one. I don't either.
I didn't know if Andy
I'll have
had
to look on Andy.
He's my coach of the year.
Yeah,
Every year.
Every year, pretty
Yeah,
much.
There you go.
Honestly, Coach of the Year sometimes can be a death
I know.
sentence
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you win it, and
It
then
is in the
following year,
NBA.
Doug Peterson won it, and he ended up getting canned from Philly. Matt Nagy
gonna
won.
say, didn't
Matt Nagy won it his second or first year in Chicago.
He took Trubisky to the playoffs. That's Coach of the Year.
That was he deserved that. I think we all think Stefanski at some point is probably gone pretty soon.
Yep.
It's been I'm thinking a Colts coach maybe did. There was a long line of you win it and within 2 years you're gone.
Did Frank Reich get
And that's what I think it may have been Frank Reich.
Coach of the Year? I always love. Go ahead, Dylan.
I was gonna say we only count AP, right?
Yeah.
Coach of the Years. He was in 2002. Andy got AP Coach of the Year,
Okay.
but 2013 when he went 9-0 with the awful Chiefs in their first season, Ron Rivera won Coach of the Year for the first time of 2 times that Ron.
So it took 2022. It took them trading Tyreek Hill and then having the number 1 offense in the league and going and winning a Super Bowl for him.
No,
to
I'm
get
saying
Coach of the Year.
2002.
2002. Sorry,
Yeah,
I was going to say I didn't remember it 2022. So
No,
I'm
no,
like,
no.
you know what? Clearly I missed that, and it was Super
Right.
Bowl stuff. So I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
So 2002. Okay, so early on in Andy's career, it's like, oh, this guy's pretty good. All right, Coach of the Year. I've always the stat that I think illustrates Coach of the Year more than anything is the ACC Coach of the Year. I've loved this one since 2001. I think 2001 or 2002. Seth Greenberg has more ACC Coach of the Year awards than Coach K in the ACC since 2001. And Seth Greenberg stopped coaching in like 08.
Well,
and Coach K coached till a couple of years ago
Wow.
because they're expected to win.
Yeah, agreed.
You can't
Yeah.
be Coach of the Year if you've got good players. Whether you have injuries or figuring things out, you just can't be Coach of the Year ever, which is absurd because you might have put together one of your best coaching jobs for your team to be really good, even if you've got really good players.
Yeah, college of all, because you're the one, it's basically the GM too.
Right.
Like college, I never understand how.
Yeah, you're expected to be good because that guy got
Because
the
that
players.
guy, like Bill Self, should win it almost every single year because they're like, well, he has great players. Because he went out and
exactly
got
right.
the
Yeah,
players. I
absolutely.
get the NFL because a lot of times it's the GM, but in college, the head coach is the GM.
Yeah.
You're putting your team together.
Well, I think for Andy, I mean, probably a good consolation prize is the fact that you're a 100% first ballot Hall of Fame coach. So that'll probably make up for it.
And the Super Bowls.
Yeah, you're not going to be coach.
Exactly. That as well.
I'll give you
3
a
and
choice,
counting.
Andy. You can be Coach of the Year, but you were also expected to win like 4 games and you won 9. Congratulations.
That's not going to get it done, though.
Or you can win a couple Super Bowls along the way
Yeah.
and maybe be regarded as one of, and when it's all said and done, maybe the best coach in NFL history.
Right.
But you only get one Coach of the Year award. What do you want?
Yeah.
That may have happened because the whole knock was he could never win a Super Bowl. Remember that
Well,
he
yeah,
couldn't
right.
win one, so maybe that was the deal he made.
Well, turns
it's
out-
a real possibility, Jason.
Turns out when you're not trying to win a Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb and Alex Smith and you get a Hall of Fame quarterback, turns out maybe
Kevin Cobb?
Maybe a great coach can win a Super Bowl with a great quarterback.
Agreed.
As opposed to elevating what could be, maybe an above average or slightly better than generic quarterback that you turn out to be. Wow, this guy's a pro. You're not winning with that guy. Look at that guy's numbers.
So that comes up. Belichick, does he ever coach again?
I think he will. I don't think he should.
I agree.
I wouldn't hire him. I think he should
Agree.
just be an analyst, and he should be the third Manning on the Manning cast every Monday.
I like him talking wise. I think he's.
I think the
he's
best
been good
the
on
best
TV.
part of the Manning cast is when it's the Mannings and Belichick.
Yep.
Like when they have celebrities on, like it gets choppy and it's not
Mm-hmm.
as much fun. But when it's the Mannings and Belichick talking about what's going on in the game, and Belichick's giving anecdotal stories about his time, like when Peyton Manning, the one that they had on Monday. Peyton Manning was talking about the drill that they would have equipment guys with tennis rackets for the quarterbacks that you had to throw it over or between. So to create those lanes and those angles with defensive linemen's
wow.
arms, they would use tennis rackets. And Bill Belichick told the story that he would pay the equipment people, each person, that if you got the tennis racket on the ball, you would get money.
That's outstanding.
The problem is Tom Brady doubled it. Whatever Belichick offered, Tom Brady doubled for them not to hit it. And
Wow.
Belichick found out about it. That
Okay, that's awesome.
He's like, Brady gave him twice as much money though if he didn't hit it. So nothing we could do. So that guy was
that's
like
nice.
reaching up and dodging the footballs when Brady's throwing.
But I guess
Brady's
either
giving him
way,
extra-
you're making money.
Yeah,
either way.
100%, yes, that's
Even if you
great.
miss it on accident, you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
shit, I
fine.
missed it. Oh, I'm still getting paid.
It's great, but I didn't know they did like a tennis racket drill with
didn't see that. I
Peyton
like that.
Manning and Tom Brady, which is great. Like that's the stuff. Like
Yeah.
Belichick was paying the equipment managers to use a tennis racket to hit Tom Brady's footballs when he's throwing it, and Tom Brady doubled whatever Belichick was offering,
That's
so they
awesome.
wouldn't touch the balls when he's throwing them.
Just imagine what that guy got paid to get all that video footage for.
Imagine what the guy got paid to deflate the footballs. I mean, good night.
Exactly.
Ideal gas law and everything.
Yes.
I mean, that guy's one hell of a scientist. Kendall Gammon is our guest, presented by Crown Toyota, Crown Volkswagen. I wanted to get your thoughts on Kingsley because he was a healthy scratch, inactive for the first time this year. And I don't know if this is officially them saying it's going to be a redshirt year for Kingsley, or you tell him, hey, we're taking a step back. We're not going to throw you out to the fire again. You know, we're going to keep working with you. Can you, if the case, if it is not a redshirt year that they're simply saying, you know, just get better behind the scenes, we're good, don't worry about anything else.
Right.
If it's not that, can you gain confidence in today's game, in practice, and get better physically in practice to be ready to go in a game? Or is it going to take games because it's different today when you're not really putting on the pads and going up against other guys to really get all that much better in the regular season at practice, as opposed to training camp and really just training camp and actually playing games when you're actually putting the pads on and hitting and going live?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think you can get better, but ultimately you've got to get the reps in the game. I spoke this week to Chad Brown, who played in the NFL for 15 years. I remember when I was with the Steelers. I'd keep going back to that, but it just makes sense. Himself, he was a second-round pick. Brenson Buckner, who I think came through Kansas City at one point in time, was a first-round pick. I remember those guys specifically. They were supposed to be really good, and they ended up being good. But their rookie years was really tough, and neither one of them really got it going much that rookie year sometimes. And it just happens sometimes to guys. It takes a little bit longer. I remember I talked about it earlier this week. Eric Fisher, he had a rough time his first year, and it's having been a player, I've always said, and I still believe this, I can give you an idea how a guy's going to be just by how he holds himself and looking in his eyes. And if you talk to Grunny and folks like that, I think they tell you the same thing. You can see how guys are thinking and what's going on. And he was shell-shocked for a while, and he just needed some help. Now, he was getting it pretty hard from Andy as well in terms of doing things, but that's part of it sometimes. But I think probably nice for Kingsley to sit a little bit and just not I think it's an ego blow to a degree, but I think sometimes it's nice to just be able to step back a little bit and say, okay, I don't have the pressure this week, and maybe rethink things, and maybe you come back fresher.
Yeah, it could be an ego blow. It could also be a, okay.
Yeah, no,
let me just
absolutely.
relax a little bit, and
Yep.
not be
no, that's
not be
what
drowning.
I was alluding to.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, it depends on, but to your point, it sort of depends on the player.
It
and
does.
how they approach
There's no
it.
doubt about it. And I think they must have thought he was good with things, because obviously he had it from the minute he stepped on the field in the preseason. But something clicked and really got him. And you know, on my best days as a backup lineman, I might have been below average. But I'll tell you right now, things can get in your head pretty bad when you know you're going against players that are pretty darn good, and I did that a lot, you know, playing early on and in practices, and it is tough. It's definitely a mind, you know what. I
wonder if maybe they feel comfortable sitting Kingsley and not feeling like that will just kill his confidence and make him think like, well, now my career's over because they're
right.
If maybe it's different with him because he's from an NFL family, that so many guys in his family, cousins, whatever, have played in the NFL, that, hey, you sort of get it, man. Right? This is the deal. This is the business. And this is part of the maturation process. All right. You're not your cousin. You're not Penei Sewell. Right. You're maybe
Puka
one.
Nacua.
Yeah. Right. You're not those guys, you know, early on, you know, or you know what? Now that I think about it, maybe it's the flip side. Maybe it's a confidence killer because he looks at his family like, well,
I've got to live up to that.
Puka Nacua had 25 receptions his first two games. Penei Sewell is maybe the best tackle in the game right now, and you know, sort of hit the ground running. But being around football, being around that, and coaches and everything, like I think they'd probably. I don't think they would have inactivated him if they thought they were going to lose him between the ears.
I would agree, and I don't think there's a lot of positions much more difficult than left tackle to come in as a rookie and really play well, because you're just getting great rushers each and every week.
Yeah, and you're out on an island. You got more space there to work. Joe Valerio earlier this week was talking with Steven and about the improving and stuff in practice, and said, you know, back then he could, and he would get confidence in practice because they would, you know, put the pads on and hit, you know, a couple of practices a week. And he was like, I'm going up against Neil Smith and Derek Thomas and those guys. And so if I'm doing some good things in practice against them, I'm getting confidence there.
Yep.
Whereas in today, you're going through a walkthrough or whatever, and I'm not really going up against Chris Jones or Karl Loftus in a practice.
Yeah.
But on Sunday, I am going up against Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, I think
I am going up against Max Crosby.
14, I think you get 14 padded practices a year,
Yeah,
so you
a year,
so probably do one a week for a while till the end of the year. But you're right. It's tough.
Yeah. What do you think of this team bouncing back and the old cliche of not letting one loss turn into two? Maybe they got a break in the schedule because the Panthers on the road for that one loss, but a team like the Chiefs to put the loss behind them, go out and take care of business this weekend against the Panthers.
I don't think it's an issue. You mentioned this last week. The Chiefs maybe played a C-plus game or something like that, and Buffalo played an A or somewhere there. That could happen this week, and I think the Chiefs would still come out because this is just not a good team. I mean, you give a quiz to a lot of people, name a lot of players on the Carolina Panthers, they're going to fail the test. I'll fail the test. I know that. They're starting 2 rookie wide receivers. They're starting 2 rookies on the defensive side as well.
Okay, how many guys can you name? Name 10.
No,
no, I'm not going.
You can take the 0 off of it, and I might not do very well. I mean, seriously, it's NFC number 1, and number 2, it's Carolina.
Yeah. If you're not playing fantasy football, you may not know much about.
Does Jake Del Holmes still play for him?
He does.
Okay, thank you. Then because
and Luke Kuechly does too.
Okay,
Yeah, Luke
thank
Kuechly's still out there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's exciting what's going on there.
Well, they're starting QB. I mean, he wouldn't be back. He's trying to get back to that. That I guess that expectation of why he was drafted number 1 last year, but he might not be playing had Andy Dalton not
got out,
had
hurt,
fender bender and hurt his thumb.
Right. They've won back-to-back games now.
Yeah.
Bryce Young's looking a little better.
They won back-to-back games.
Thank you. I was baiting you into saying his name, Bryce Young.
Bryce, was that what it was? Yeah.
I knew Andy Dalton, but that was
Andy
it.
Dalton.
I knew Bryce.
Xavier Legette. And Jonathan Brooks might be playing, right? His
Chuba
first
Hubbard.
game. Chuba Hubbard's had a nice year. Their offense, they're just really bad in the trenches, you know. Their defensive line, the only reason I know some of the names is because I had to look it up, like LeBrian Ray, Jadeveon Clowney, who's now there, has 1 sack this year. They're the 31st ranked team in sacks this year. They don't get pressure. Their defense is decent in the secondary, but they just get 0 pressure on the quarterback. So for the offensive line, that's what I said going into this game is you have to have the offensive line dominate. I don't care if the Chiefs dominate. I want the offensive line of Kansas City to dominate this, again, horrendous Panthers defensive line.
Yeah,
I know we've kept you a while, Kendall, but I did want to get your thoughts on this before
we
let
locked
you
the
go.
door.
That's true.
You can't go anywhere.
I wanted to get your thoughts on this before we let you go. The investigation going on with the FBI of the transnational crime ring around professional athletes with Kelsey, Mahomes, Linval Joseph, Mike Conley in the NBA, a couple of other NBA players as well. That is clearly this organized element of to burglarize these professional athletes. Seren brought up yesterday that should the NFLPA negotiate security at players' houses on game day specifically, or is that a little bit too much to ask because of this specific thing and they're only hitting the richest players on the team.
Yeah, they're like Gammon, like nope.
Who could probably afford the extra security at their house when they're gone. But how scary is that? Because people know you're gone, especially on a road trip, or they see your families there at the game. Like you're not home. And it honestly, I hate to say it, but it makes sense as to why, if you're a crime ring, why you would target professional athletes, because social media, you're not there. The family's gone, and this is a non-violent, apparently, transnational crime syndicate that they, if
just
somebody's
going
home,
after stuff.
They'll make sure nobody's home. They'll get in, get out, no violence or anything, but still, it sucks for these players, but I think they could probably afford the security, but I do wonder if the NFL that sent a memo to the rest of the league about, hey, this is going on right now, so be on high alert.
I don't think it's a bargaining chip, although I think the NFLPA will probably work with the NFL behind the scenes, and they'll come up with some answers to give the guys, and there'll be information disseminated, would be my guess. As a PA rep 10 of my 15 years, and you can't negotiate everything and some things, and not that it's not important, but to your point, like I mentioned earlier, when they get to Gammon and the long snapper, they're like, nope, nothing worth going after there. So it doesn't help me, but others it would. So I think it's such a small number that they will give people avenues of how to go and go about things would be my guess.
Yep. Kendall Gammon, presented by Crown Toyota, Crown Volkswagen. Kendall, you're the man. Appreciate it as always, sir. Enjoy the football. We will not talk next week, so happy Thanksgiving to you.
You
sir.
as well. Absolutely.
Because our conversation next week will be taking place while the Chiefs are playing the Raiders.
There you go.
So we weren't going to have that conversation. That would be odd if we had a conversation talking about the Raiders and Chiefs game while they're playing. I don't think we're going to do that. Kendall, you're the man. Appreciate it, brother.
Thanks.
Absolutely. There's Kendall Gammon, presented by Crown Toyota, Crown Volkswagen. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up next. KU Colorado tomorrow at 2:30 on Fox, the Big Fox.
Fun game.
Yeah, well, 2.5 point spread that is now. KU 2.5 point dogs after winning at BYU 17-13 and an opportunity for KU to continue to cause chaos.
Who you guys
Kansas
taking?
causing
Is that
chaos.
I was gonna say, is that the biggest game on Fox this weekend?
It
or-
is not.
Oh.
It's the second biggest game on Fox.
What's the
But it's
big- what's
before
the
the biggest game, right?
Indiana, Ohio State at 11 a.m.
Oh, 11 a.m. Not.
Big noon.
Nah.
I bet.
It's the big noon game on
I
Fox.
bet
at 11.
Colorado KU's a better game.
Big Ten people are very upset that like all their biggest games
Oh,
are
yeah.
the first one of the day, and
Oh, yeah.
it's not.
Yeah, you all
Big noon. Big noon Saturday.
talk to me. All the Big 12 biggest games are at 9 o'clock p.m.
Yeah, what would you rather have? I mean, Sterling wants a late game. He likes the 3:25
I like
games.
late. I like late.
I like the noon.
Oh, I
Chiefs
hate the
games.
3:25 Chiefs. Oh,
No.
Wait, seriously?
personal. Oh God, yeah, it's the worst.
The best.
In what way?
I get to
Nick
watch.
and I are in agreement on this one.
You get to watch.
And I think we're in the minority, by the way.
We side with logic.
But I think we're in the minority, though.
We get to
Yeah, I
watch
think
all
most
the
of-
noon games. You just get to sit there and just chill on your couch, watch
Aren't there
all the
like
noon
two
games.
noon games? That's it.
There's a lot of noon games.
Well, no, I mean that we can see, unless you have.
Oh, well, you got Sunday Ticket or
Do
the
you
Red
have Sunday
Zone.
ticket? You don't even have like a TV in your house, right?
Yeah.
Well, I
It's
read
true.
about it.
He reads the book about every
I
NFL game.
read the book while the game's going on. I
read
just
the
follow
basic
somebody's
AIs,
live Twitter
amazing.
updates. That's
Play
what
by play.
I read it. I will say this was the week, if you're the Chiefs going to have a noon or 3:25 game, this is the week to have the noon game because the noon slate is a bunch of dogs.
Yeah, it's
Dog games.
brutal.
Doggy games. And the Chiefs Panthers are one of them.
This is all personal for me. Just
I know
when they're
it-
done by 3:15.
For your-
my day's
yeah.
a lot easier than when they're done at 6:45.
Yeah, for your sake. But the 3:25, the 3 o'clock games are Broncos, Raiders, 49ers, Packers, Cards, Seahawks is a fun one.
Nice.
And then ending with Eagles and Rams on Sunday Night Football. So, but that noon slate is gross. It is gross. So you can just focus on the Chiefs game. That's it. It ain't like the 3 o'clock games are amazing, but they're better than what the noon slate is.
That'd be a 1 o'clock game
Yeah.
for me too. I'll be in.
Oh, badass.
East Coast.
Good for you. It'll be a big noon Saturday for you then.
Yeah, it'll be a big noon Saturday for me. Yeah.
Good for you.
And they just assume everybody lives on the East Coast, don't
know-
you?
well, yes.
Big noon people.
Big noon. Fox, big noon. Raiders or Ravens Chargers on Monday night. That's a fun one. I think I'll be rooting for the Ravens in that one.
Whoever has the most losses, I'm going to root for.
Ravens are 7-4. Chargers
Yeah.
7-3.
Yeah.
I think I'm pulling for the Ravens
you'll
in
need
that
to,
one. That is a game where I didn't think this late in the season
I was
I'd be
pulling for the
rooting
Browns last night.
Right, I know. I didn't think I'd be rooting for the Ravens against the Chargers this year at any point. It would be like, we need the Chargers to beat the Ravens to help out the Chiefs. But Chiefs have a 4-game lead on the Ravens. Ravens have 4 losses.
And
Chiefs
what,
have 3.
only a 1.5 game lead on the Chargers? Where they at?
They have a 1.5 game lead.
Yeah.
Well, no, 2.5.
2.5 game lead.
2.5
2.5.
game lead. And it could be a 4-game lead if they, play them, beat them again later on, or if they even lose on Monday night.
Let's get these buys over with so everybody's got the same number of games they played.
Yeah, week
You're doing
15.
that half math.
Week 15, the buys will be over.
Seriously?
So, yeah, week 14 is
It
the
goes
last
to
buy.
14.
Week
Wow.
14 is the
Used
last
to be
buy.
just 12 or 13 was those last buys.
Yeah, week 14.
Who are you guys rolling with in that Colorado KU game? By the way, which way?
Money
you guys
line.
leaning?
Let's money line that dog, baby. Let's go with KU.
I'm going KU in that one.
Yeah, I went
I
KU
think-
against BYU. I don't know about back to
I
back.
think KU's got the dogs in the secondary to hang with that wide receiver
Yes.
core for
Yep.
Colorado.
Absolutely.
good call.
Playing spoiler.
Yeah.
And they're playing confident football now. And honestly, I mean,
I think they
that-
finally got used to having to leave Lawrence for an hour just to play home games.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Colorado is a good team. I think they're inflated a little bit
Yeah.
with, what the record is at this point in time. It's so funny that, for all the pub that Dion got last year that was more unwarranted, he's not getting as much this year as he did last year when it's more warranted this year to a degree.
Exactly right.
Of loving up Dion. But I think this is a game where, it comes crashing down, that KU is playing spoilers, and they're going up against a team that, just like BYU last week, this is not a 4-6 team. This is not a typical 4-6. KU is a really talented team. Mick, you made one of the best points, and that is
thank you so much.
the secondary for KU.
so much.
Yes, the secondary for KU is good. Not that they're going to shut down, Travis Hunter or what Shador Sanders can do, but you can only live so long on the plays breaking down. So now I've got to sort of run around and make a play, and that's one of their best things they do at Colorado and Shador Sanders. They also are really good in the screen game. Like, they find ways to get their athletes in space and KU in the secondary has athletes to go along, with those guys. And so, I think KU has a great chance of winning this, and I think they're going to.
I love the discovery that Leipold and Sanders are just boys.
Yes, right.
The odd couple here.
It's great.
They're just buddies.
I think it also shows who Lance Leipold is, that Deion comes into the Big 12 this year with all of the flash from last year in the Pac-12. I think it would have been very easy for a coach to be like, bleep this dude. This guy's all bark and no bite. Welcome to our league, buddy. Yeah, here you go. But instead, Lance Leipold is one of the first ones to reach out, and then they've talked every couple of weeks, and they've just developed this friendship. I think it says a lot if you Leipold just welcoming new coaches into the conference.
It does, and I've talked to a couple of people who know Deion personally, and they're like, if you know him personally, that's a show. If you know
what?
him, yeah, exactly.
Prime
Face to face,
time, Neon
he's actually
Deion?
a terrific guy. He knows a lot, and people have sung his praises. I'm still not a huge fan, but it was funny. I don't know if you saw the first part because Deion loved up Leipold, just like Leipold is. Look, we've had similar paths. He coached in high school, coached at a smaller school, and did good things there, worked his way. He was so far ahead of the transfer portal and the NIL and all that stuff. Leipold talking about Sanders, and Sanders I just love that guy to life, is what he said. But he's like, Coach Leipold? Am I saying that right? Leipold? And they're like, no, you're not. It's Leipold. Leipold? Is it Leipold? Is it? It took him 30 seconds to get the name down. He never got it right.
I just call him Lance.
But then after that, he just went on for a minute about how great of a guy he was and how close they are, and they still kind of weekly almost keep in contact with each other. So it's just funny to me. That's the odd couple, because they are. If you watch, I don't know if you could have two press conferences that are more diametrically opposed than Sanders and Leipold on a weekly basis.
Andy Reid and Deion.
Yeah, that would be up there.
But how they publicly...
Bill Belichick and Deion would probably be the all-time different.
The public perception of their programs, Leipold and Deion.
At least Bill's kind of salty like Deion.
Yeah, it's true.
To where Andy and Lance, they just want to get through it, say some cliches, get the sound bites over with, and move on.
Doggone it, Herbie.
Looking for the challenge of playing the Colorado Buffaloes. They're well coached.
They're a well coached team. They got a great quarterback back there, Shedeur Sanders. So they're going to be a top pick, and got to be worried about him. But yeah, it'll be fun this weekend. I think it's a game where I think there are a lot of people in town that are going to the game that aren't KU or Colorado fans.
It's a place to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to a K-State game tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's going to show up to that one.
I've got a number of friends that aren't fans of either team that are going to the game just to watch Colorado and that matchup, and just be like, let's go watch a college football game.
It's a traveling road show, too, from what I hear. The guys that are going to be on the sidelines, the celebrities that show up. It's not unlike a Lakers game or a Chiefs game these days when all the stars show up.
And also, it could be a hell of a game. Like, you might be there watching one heck of a football game.
Both teams have a lot to play for. KU keeping that bowl hopes alive. I don't know if anybody's hotter right now in the conference than the Jayhawks. And they have Colorado. They've got their not just Big 12 hopes in their own hands, but they control their own destiny with the playoff.
Yep, you can go to the playoff. You need to win the next couple. You win 3 in a row, and you're in the college football playoff. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, continue rolling more zone next. We'll also hear from Mike Dana and Xavier Worthy. So we'll hear Andy Reid in a Fast Friday, Mike Dana and Xavier Worthy. We will tell you who's lighting it up. We'll get our Chiefs predictions and play some clippy clips from last night. Well, a couple of them really from last night. What took place in Cleveland and what took place in L.A. Completely different ends of the spectrum in how fun and joyful the conversations were. One, we get Jameis. On the other side, we get lowlifes. We'll explain. I'm not talking. That's not Andy Reid or Mike Dana or Xavier Worthy at all. That's Deshaun Watson.
Trumpet back there.
Nothing
is,
like
man. It's live.
Musical family.
Just a whole bunch of timpani back there. They're just crushing. That's a flute. That's a flute and a clarinet.
And all the other instruments stop playing so you could hear the flute. If any other instrument's playing, you can't hear the flute.
Yeah.
It's the most pointless instrument in the instrument jungle.
Tell that to the flute.
I have.
Oh,
yeah.
So many flautists. I tell that to.
Timpani,
Especially like in a marching band. You're out there like at halftime.
Bells.
Nobody hears you, flutes.
Clarinets are also tough to hear.
They're only a step above.
Somehow triangles also ring. The flute is a triangle of the percussion instrument.
Triangle knows when to chime in when nobody else is playing.
Yeah. But when you got cymbals, you can really just smash those boys.
Smash those boys. That's what you...
Let's hear from Andy Reid. This is a Fast Friday. They get ready for the Carolina Panthers. Here is Andy Reid.
As far as the injuries, everybody practiced today. We'll end up listing Minihue and Pacheco is out. They won't dress this week. Look forward to the challenge of playing Carolina. Again, they're playing real good football and on both sides of the ball and special teams. Dave's done a nice job with that group, and our guys have had a good week of practice, and look forward to that challenge again to play a good football team. So, with that time, yours.
Andy, Pacheco and Charles still on the schedule.
We'll see, but they're doing great. They're doing great. Working hard, and we'll just take it day by day as we go on this thing. So So we
You guys probably don't need the message to not overlook anybody, but after you play games like you had in Buffalo, this team that maybe you're not familiar with and all that stuff, do you have to give them any message about making sure they're on par?
Yeah, I think the best thing is that they see the tape, because that's what's real. And so our guys know that they're playing good football. So you don't have to say a whole lot. I mean, you put the tape on and you see how they're flying around, and both sides of the ball, special teams, playing good football.
All right, there's Andy Reid, a Fast Friday, very fast Friday for this one.
Some of the fastest Fridaying I've ever seen.
Minihue and Pacheco will be listed as out. They are both still doing great, and they're going to take that day by day. They are not day to day. They're going to take it day by day, because if it was day to day, oh no, here we go again. They are day by day. They will not play this weekend against the Panthers, which I'm totally fine with. I don't think they needed to play this weekend against the Panthers anyway, and so give them an extra week, and it's all good. So they'll be ready, especially with a short week.
Short week, too. I think that's part of it. Yeah,
with the Raiders coming up on Friday. Quickly, we head to, speaking of quick, Xavier Worthy at the podium.
Over the past couple of weeks, you're right there on the sideline. What sort of the finer points have you guys been working on in practice to make sure those are inbounds instead of out?
Right. Man, it's just the communication aspect of it. I'm a young player, first time playing together, so it's just building that chemistry.
How difficult is it to practice those long plays like that when you're trying to get your feet down? It seems like that might be easier on shorter passes.
Right. I mean, you can't replicate it. I mean, it's just something that you got to learn over time. So man, just learning. It's a hard thing to learn in the moment, but I mean, it's all gonna be worth it.
You've been talking to some of the veteran guys on the team about those kind of things. What sort of things are they helping with?
Man, they're the ones that told me it's gonna come over time, just learning. I mean, everybody could tell you, but it's different in the heat of the moment.
Xavier, how those guys approach you about getting to run a Texas Longhorns play in a Chiefs game?
Man, I seen them put it in. They were showing our play at the meeting, so when they showed it at the meeting, I already knew I was gonna run it. So it was just cool just to have that ran.
Did they tell you it was specifically for you since you got that?
Yeah, see who can get more yards.
Xavier, during that stretch where you were making a lot of catches, eventually ending with a touchdown, what do you think was going so right for you in that particular drive?
Right. I feel like I'm starting to really get more comfortable, get a better feel for the game, understanding more leverage, more coverage with the game. So I just feel like that's just me showing my growth.
People talk a lot about rookie wall type things. Have you experienced anything this year that's like, oh wow, I feel like I've done more, practiced more, played more than you did when you were in college?
Nah, I love football, so it's just something I enjoy doing. It's not really something that's it doesn't feel like a job. I just love playing the game.
And I see that when your old teammates, Jonathan Brooks, is going to play this week. I guess
Yeah.
you talked to him. Have you been talking to him throughout the year? And how excited is he to get a chance?
Oh yeah, that's my guy. Man, he had a hell of a college career. He just got unfortunately hurt, so I feel like we had him on that run in college, it would probably been different. But just to see him back out there and doing things he's doing, I'm happy for him.
Anything else? Thanks, Xavier.
All right, there's Xavier Worthy. Communication and chemistry with Patrick Mahomes, and they are getting a little bit better at that as the weeks go on. And he's getting more comfortable, understanding defenses a little bit.
I don't like that.
It's part of the growth. What don't you like?
Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback leader of the team, who's probably, like you said, maybe 20% at fault there, took full ownership of that play. There was zero ownership there. Just his chemistry, and I don't understand the communication part of it.
Well, I thought it was like the sideline grass talking to him. Like
somebody's going to yell mid-catch.
He's working on communication with the sideline grass. I'm right here. Don't step on me.
Get that final
right here.
Left foot.
You're getting closer. Getting hot, warm, hot, cold, warm, hot. Oh, you stepped on me. Stupid sideline and its non-communicating paint.
Yeah, that they say rookie mistakes. I think it's a rookie mistake there. You learn, you take ownership. Yeah. It's on you, and you move on.
Yeah, just working on. It's a learning process along the way. Not a rookie. Here is Mike Dana.
In the locker room this week, first loss, all that stuff. You guys have been through this enough that it's not that big a deal, I guess. But you feel a different energy this week after having a loss?
Oh, guys are just locked in. Everybody, fierce competitors, and anytime you take a loss, you have a bad taste in your mouth, and you can't wait till the next Sunday or the next opportunity to erase that and have a new beginning, man. We're just looking to lock in this week, do what we got to do, and then execute.
A point of conversation this week has just been the sack rate last year was a little bit better than this year. What in your opinion, has led to maybe a little bit of a drop off in that sense?
Man, it's just guys are working their tails off regardless of the sack rate. Even though there's a so-called drop, guys are still working their tails off every single play trying to get there. Teams are getting the ball off fast. Teams respect our rush because they have a lot of guys in the box blocking us, and they respect our pressures that we send blitz. So sometimes that calls for having more hats in the in the trenches to block us or whatever. But by the end of the year, I'm sure we're going to be right where we want to be. All of our goals are still right in front of us. Nobody's discouraged. We got full belief in our guys and our system, so we're going to be all right.
How much of a luxury is it, as you continue to play with him, for you and George, that Chris is in the middle taking up so much?
It's huge, man. Anytime you got a guy like Chris, he's a dynamic player, game wrecker, and sometimes they gotta put 4 hands on him, maybe 6. But anytime they do that create one-on-one matchups. It create opportunities for other guys. So you just gotta take advantage of the most of your opportunities, man, and just cash in when you get the chance.
Mike, how much does the preparation change when you go from game planning for a guy like Josh Allen, who's just a big quarterback, to a guy like Bryce Young, who's a little bit slimmer?
Yeah.
Different style.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's different style quarterbacks, different size and stuff, but we respect both games. Bryce Young is still up and coming, and we're not going to sleep on him. He's there, and he's the QB1. He was first round pick, and he's had a lot of success at Alabama. So at any point, he's a gunslinger. So he'll turn it on and light up the stadium. So we're gonna have to contain him. We respect him, and we got to hone in.
Mike, you know Josh Uche well. What do you think is the key for him unlocking him a little bit in Kansas City?
Man, just letting him play, man. Josh is a hell of an athlete, man. Even on the field, he can play any position, versatile, just like the rest of us on that line. You can put him inside, you can put him outside linebacker. It goes on with him, but he's an incredible football player, man. And I'm excited to have him here and to be working with him these last couple of weeks because he's a really smart football player also. So getting knowledge and tips for him helps me in my game, and I'm able to pass it over to him too.
A little surreal sometimes being college teammates and then
Yeah,
being in the pros.
man, listen, we didn't even think about that while we were there. Like I didn't even think it was going to be a chance we would ever be teammates again. But we're in the same position, and we're here, and we're back in the same room. We're grinding together.
Coach mentioned that, everyone had their eyes on Buffalo, right? You guys played them a bunch. Now it's an NFC team. They had the greatest start. But he said you turn the tape on, you see something more than what the record shows. When you guys have been watching and prepping for the Panthers, what are you seeing on tape from their offense?
Man, they got a good football team. These last couple of weeks, man, they've been rolling. They've been coming out with wins and finding a way to win. That's what they've been doing. And, they can run the ball as well as good as pass the ball. They got a good running back, good tight ends and receivers. And, you just got to respect what they put on the field. All of them guys are dynamic. And, like I said, with Bryce Young leading them, we got to do our assignments, do our jobs, and, find a way to win.
What are the keys against Hubbard, the running back? What's he look like on tape?
Man, he's a great running back, man. He runs through contact. He's able to make a cut and get out of there. But, we just got to contain him, man. Not allow any big runs, any big plays. But, like I said, hella respect to him. And, like I said, he can light up the scoreboard, man. He can rush and, he can do what he got to do. But, we just got to contain him, do our jobs, do our assignments, and hone in on the details.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
All right, thank you.
All right, there's Mike Dana, and they get ready for the Panthers this weekend. Not taking Carolina lightly, even with their record and some of the problems they have had this year. And a cool deal for him to have his college teammate Joshua Uche, now his NFL teammate.
Chiefs overmatch the Panthers in every way possible. KC by 3.
That sounds about right. Warzone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer. We'll get to who's lighting it up here in just a little bit. Get our predictions, also some cuts before the show is over. So we find out who the two small market teams that reached out to Juan Soto's camp are.
Royals.
The Tampa Bay Rays and the Kansas City Royals. Reached
With
out
cheese.
to Juan. Yep, that's right. Reached out to Juan Soto's camp. They are. The price is going to be too expensive.
Is there
for him.
enough money in Kansas City to buy him?
I think. I think if we all came together and pooled our money together, maybe at that point you would get close.
Like a season, maybe half season.
I'd put
alone.
$20 in there.
I'd put $20.
Yeah, I would. I would definitely.
I don't
put
like
20
Juan
on it.
Soto though. There's that part.
But-
Until he puts on a Royals uniform, then like this guy's so misunderstood.
I'll like him for $20.
And then the Soto
Okay.
shuffle
I like him
becomes
$20.
awesome. You're like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
look, he's look
Everybody's
at that.
gonna-
He's
You know what?
having
That's
fun.
passion for baseball. That's passion
Everybody's
right there.
buying Juan Soto shuffle shirts out there at the K. But yeah, it's the Rays and the Royals were the two. There were 11 teams, including two small market teams, that inquired about Juan Soto, and the Royals and Rays were the two small market teams. The price tag is going to be too hefty for the Royals, but
What's the price tag going to be?
too hefty for the Royals. Apparently,
What's it going to be yearly? What would it be?
300 million, 32, 33.
Oh,
many-
dude,
for how many years?
Dude, it's going to
34?
be so much more than 300+ million. He's going to be half
you think he's going to
billion.
get 50 million for 10 years?
I think he's going to get more in 10 years.
More than 10 years? How's he now?
Oh, I'm thinking like if it's a 10-year deal, then it's,
He's 26.
What's his annual average?
He's 26.
I
This
would
is going to
not
be
do
like
more
a
than
40
10-year deal.
mil. This is going to be absurd. This is going to.
Yeah, we'll see. It's more than what the Chiefs will be able to afford, obviously. But the Chiefs reached out, which I'm totally fine
Chiefs?
with. The
For
Royals,
two?
sorry.
Wow.
It would also
That'd be awesome,
It
yeah.
would also be more. He can
would he play?
Soto shuffle his way on into the end zone.
Linebacker?
Yeah, he probably could. I'm not sure, but too expensive for the Royals, and they reached out to him. Obviously, they weren't going to sign Juan Soto, even if they matched every single offer. Juan Soto, even if they probably gave him more, he's not going to come to Kansas City. He's going to stay on one of the
Isn't
coasts.
he one of the ones that's maybe older than
He could be.
rumor
Certainly,
was out
certainly
there?
could be. But I know
We're
he's
the
damn good.
offer that he takes back to the other bigger markets
Yeah.
and says,
Yes.
if the Royals can do this,
Right.
why aren't y'all?
Right, but also, like, what's the problem with reaching out to seeing if you'd be interested?
Kick
like,
all the tires.
yes, like I said it last year. They should offer Shohei Ohtani a huge contract, whatever the other teams are offering, so it gets out that the Royals are trying to sign Shohei Ohtani. Especially last summer when they were trying to get a stadium deal
Just
done.
hope that Shohei doesn't go for that.
But if he does, now you've got
It's like
Shohei
the
Ohtani on your
auction-
team, and you got the entire
We can
Japanese
just
market.
defer it till 2042.
That's exactly right. If
when
you'd have
when
known
you're
that you could do
you're
that.
like, oh shoot, I think I was going to win
I was
this
just
auction
raising.
item.
I was just raising the price here at this auction.
As someone who works auctions, that's the
That's a
absolute
deal,
worst.
right?
Can you tell in their eyes that they didn't?
Yeah.
That when it starts to be, anybody else? All right,
looking around, like,
going
do I
once,
have it? Do I still have
going
this?
twice, all day, all done. Sold to the person that clearly is upset that they have now purchased
What are
that.
the rules there? Can you defer at that point and say, I want to give it to the last bidder? Can you do that?
Legally speaking, I mean,
You're
there's
my
no,
auction
Hey,
guy.
I
there's
was
no
kidding.
Way. Yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, there's no way of like
You're not bound to it,
forcing.
right?
I was gonna say, like, I'm not going to then.
You're just kind of an ass.
You're right,
And like
yes.
everyone's like, oh, this is for kids, and you're like, yeah.
Right, I know, but I have kids too, and now I couldn't
Yeah.
afford my kids if I did that. I just wanted to make sure that guy over there that can afford it paid more for the. I was thinking about the kids. I was trying to help the kids out. Without me, he wouldn't be paying that much. You're welcome, kids.
So the Royals are that guy.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Better than being a small market team.
They
that's
care
like,
about the
"Well,
kids.
who
They also
cares?
care
We
about the
can't-
kids though too.
We can't do
So.
that because what's the worst thing in the world? He goes, yeah, I like your offer. Let's do it. And now you got Juan Soto. So, we'll see what they end up getting. Jason Kelsey was on the Jimmy Kimmel Show last night. I don't know if you guys saw this confrontation that took place in the alleyway behind the Kimmel studio, where the celebrities come in and out, and they have their cars set up, and they've got this fencing around, and apparently people hang out and wait for the celebrities to be done and then sign autographs. And apparently Jason, go ahead.
How many people are there roughly?
There's like 8 or 9, 10. 8, 10 of them. And from what I gather, Jason was not aware that this is something that typically happens, being the first time on the Kimmel Show. Some of the regulars on the Kimmel Show know that this is what happens. So we pick up this interaction, if you want to call it that. It ends up being an interaction. We pick up this interaction with Jason Kelce going past the people that were looking for autographs, going through a gate, and then getting into his SUV as he's getting ready to leave without signing autographs, which upset one particular person to a large degree.
Question. Don't do that. We're the king of the streets. People are dying out here. You're jumping in a car acting like a hot shot. Kiss my ass. My whole family died before our name. You ain't nobody special. You're some bad guy that thinks he's on some pedestal. Don't be a I'm with it. My whole family. I don't care. The autograph. It's the attitude. There's death in these streets 2 blocks away and you're being a You couldn't put it to our name? May we please? May we please?
I have a habit of not signing for people that follow where I'm going.
We're here at it. We're not following you. We get every guest that comes here. Morgan Freeman did it with a busted hand. That's 100 times bigger than your sorry ass. You got a podcast and you think you're a hot shot? You're nothing. You. You don't love nothing but money. You don't know these streets. You. Your love is fake. Nah, we get everybody here. You're a hot shot. The guy that tells you up at Penn State. My name's Casey O'Keefe and I represent the streets of Los Angeles, you punk. I'll take you out anytime. And I'll be running the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Watch for me, you you. And you, love. Next question, I'm with the Morgan Freeman, Harrison Ford have the time, but you don't. You. I don't want shit. Yeah! Yeah! Let's rumble. I'll put the glove down right now.
Go.
Put them on.
Sign.
Grab the
He's gonna sign.
Grab it.
He's
Grab
gonna
it
sign.
now.
He's gonna sign.
No, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it.
I'm not trying to be rude.
I don't want it.
I'm not trying to be mean.
You are being mean.
I'm trying.
Nice short, buddy. People are dying out here. You are being mean.
Casey,
it takes a minute.
Jason, you're nice.
Stop.
I swear.
I don't care.
Appreciate your time, Jason.
Stop. I will never do that in my life, Lord. Do not put that on the internet. I'm ashamed of that moment. God bless you, sir. We supported you before this. I always laughed and liked you.
I apologize, Nick.
I apologize because I do love you.
Get up here.
You want me?
Sorry. Just say sorry.
I'm not I'm not a punk.
Hey,
Casey, I love you. I have love for you.
I have love for you, okay? And I'm sorry. I didn't mean
Yes.
anything about it. I promise
Yes.
you, okay?
Yes. This is our spot. We love everybody that comes through here. We greet them with courtesy and honesty and love.
All right.
God bless you and keep working hard on everything.
You too,
I didn't
brother.
mean to be mean at all.
Listen.
But we respect the biggest people in the world that come here, and we honor them with love and appreciate what you do in here.
I feel you and I appreciate you, brother.
Did you get me? Come on.
Jason,
Thank you.
you're
Yeah.
really nice. Thank you.
That's it. A moment, Lord. I promise that's what needs to be. Love in these streets. We come on buses and subways to be here and see people stinking and all sorts of and giving love. Money we don't even have.
I hear you.
So I love you. Thank you.
Jason,
God bless you.
Jason.
Yeah. See you.
Thank
God
you,
bless.
Is your brother good?
Thank you, and I'm sorry for talking like an ass. Yeah.
So
It's over.
there was
finally, right?
that.
There's no more.
Was that a
there's no
bit?
more?
No, that was last night after the Kimmel show.
I thought you said that was a bit for the Kimmel show.
No, that was
Like that guy was that guy was a plant.
no. Those people stand outside and get autographs for every celebrity that shows up. In Jason Kelce's defense, he didn't know that was something that took place. As he said, I don't sign autographs for people that follow where I'm going. And that's when they were like,
It's
no,
public record.
Right.
Yeah,
They're like,
exactly. You follow
yes.
where he's
Well,
going.
they're like, no, we do this with everybody. This is sort of what we do. You come on the Kimmel show, and then we stand out here like losers and get autographs. And that's when Jason got out of the car and came over. Was like, I didn't mean anything by it. Like, I didn't know that this was sort of standard protocol, that this happens.
I think he learned not a lesson, but he's like, okay, the Penn State thing happened. I
agree.
ain't doing another one of these things.
I agree. I'm going to come over, and I'm going to be nice to him.
I
and
guarantee
like, hey,
he heard all that BS and was like,
Yeah.
all he wanted to do was get out of there,
Dude, he
or punch the
handled
guy
he
in the face.
handled that so
Absolutely.
well. He's
Yeah.
he's like,
Casey
I'm sorry, I
O'Keefe.
got love for you. As this dude's yelling at him.
yeah.
my God.
And then, of course,
We run the streets.
we run the streets over. I'm going to be running the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Look for me.
Okay.
My name's Casey O'Keefe.
Well, I mean, he's.
But we greet everybody with love and kindness and respect. I laughed at your podcast. I love you. Yeah, now you're signing my autograph. Yeah, Jason Kelsey's the best.
Well, I mean, he called him. I mean, he was so small time. He was nothing. Like, why would he want that
I don't know.
autograph? Right, for a while there,
You're
he
nothing.
was nothing.
You're bleep. Next question. B.
I thought that was like some Jimmy Kimmel bit. Like it was like you plan a guy to just. I was like, I don't get how that's really that funny. That seems kind of like a move. That's what I thought it was. I was like, that seems like a mean move by Jimmy Kimmel.
That was on the. As I explained, he was leaving the Jimmy Kimmel show, heading to the car. There are people outside that are autograph hounds that apparently do like that. That life, man. I don't know. You stand outside, you wait that whole time to get an autograph, and then if somebody doesn't sign your autograph, you treat them like that just because they
there is
don't
a
sign your
very
autograph.
large spider right there. That is a.
That's not that large.
It's not
That's
big.
sturdy.
It's small. That wouldn't even turn anybody. That would turn you into Spider Child, not Spider Man.
That's what. Oh,
Mick just crushed it with his finger. I squish your head. That's what he did right there. Now he picked it up. Pick it up and hand it to Sterling. It's in the carpet. What's in the box? It's a dead spider. So yeah, we that was so now it's twice in 3 weeks for Jason Kelsey that he has been confronted, accosted verbally by somebody.
Neither has been his fault.
Right. One, he's just walking to his broadcast location or whatever at Penn State. There you go. That's a small little spider.
Still moving.
Yeah.
But a-holes like that ruins it for everybody
Absolutely.
else. All those other people
he-
who
hold
might
on.
have followed him there, they want an autograph and they're going to be nice to
But
him.
see, I don't.
ruins it.
I don't give an excuse to the other people that were standing there letting this guy say that until Jason Kelsey came over,
Right.
and then the lady goes,
We
"You're
still love
nice.
you."
You're nice. He's
Yeah.
not right. You're nice. We think you're nice." Well, where were you 20, 30 seconds
Yeah.
ago when he was screaming and telling him what a D he was and what a B he was and what a P word he was and how terrible he was? You were just letting him do that because you were agreeing because you're mad he didn't sign your autograph. He didn't sign your sign. Then he comes over. Apologize. We think you're. How's your brother doing? I
he
care about
good?
your family. How are the kids? Are they okay? Does Sally still have that cold? Are they getting better? Yeah. Oh. Well, tell Kylie I said hi. It's been a while since we've talked. Like every one of them just stood by while this dude was screaming and yelling and losing his bleep and
How is
acting
that
like
a real
subhuman.
person? Like
yeah,
honestly,
that guy needs to be like
why does
admitted.
why does
No,
he
he
think
needs
he
to just-
deserves?
Well, because he's going to run this Marvel Cinematic. He's
Well, he's
telling
the king of
Jason
the
Kelsey,
streets.
he runs the streets
What's
out there.
going on a couple blocks away? Because a lot of people
Death.
are dying.
A lot of people are dying, like 2
Yeah.
blocks from Kimmel Show. They need to figure that out.
Yeah.
Maybe set up
Just move
shop
the
there.
show.
That's why I
yeah.
thought it was a bit. I'm like, because he's like, people are dying. I run the cinematic. I'm like, no way, a real
Yeah,
person.
This guy's got it all together.
Well, he's a real person, but I'm not sure he's really human. I don't know. I'm not sure what all went into that. So there you go. That's not. Well, that guy is lighting it
I was
up.
going to say, who's
I will
lighting
tell
up?
you, that guy is
that
lighting.
guy.
Well, let's get into who's lighting it up.
Time for Who's Lighting It Up. Brought to you by Greenlight Dispensary, Kansas City's #1 trusted source for all cannabis products. Try their new AI Bud Tender to help you shop their huge menu online. Visit greenlightdispensary.com for more info.
All right, who's lighting it up besides Casey O'Keefe? Yeah! Yeah! He signed my autograph. Yeah! Play the yell on the Casey O'Keefe in the last part. It's like the last little clip there. Yeah!
Yeah!
Yeah! Autograph time!
Yeah!
Yeah, Jason Kelsey, sign an autograph. Yeah!
Yeah!
I don't care anymore that people are dying 2 blocks away. Yeah, autograph.
Yeah, what do you think he chooses? People dying or his autograph? Because it seems like
Autograph.
he chose the autograph.
He chose
over
the
people
autograph. He
dying.
was pretty pissed when he didn't sign the autograph. Let him know that people are dying 2 blocks
somehow,
away.
Somehow, Jason Kelsey signing his poster was going to save lives.
It did. Saves lives. And my existence, while grotesque and incomprehensible to you, saves lives. That's what happened with Jason Kelsey. Once he signed his name on that poster or whatever, then and that sign, then lives were saved at that point. Everybody knows this. All right, who is lighting it up? We tell you who's having a good week, month, I don't know, or is just out of their minds. I'm not sure. Sterling, who's lighting it up for you?
Daniel Jones, because the only thing better than a fired head coach is apparently a fired quarterback. You get, I think it's $92 million guaranteed. So all that money to go 3-13. 16 games as a starter, and he got paid. Let me just confirm.
He's
I
the only guy.
think-
He's the only NFC quarterback to ever beat Lamar Jackson. How about that?
You know, this is
23-1.
Daniel Jones has become the real life Tommy boy,
guaranteed.
in that I could take a dump in a box and mark it guaranteed. All right, this guy's contract is guaranteed. I just took a dump on a quarterback and marked it guaranteed. I've got extra time.
$92 million, and he went 3-13.
Is that good or bad? I don't know.
So in basically 1 year, he got $92 million.
He won that playoff game though.
So
that's worth 90. Is that worth $92 million? Apparently,
that was
for the
before he
Giants
signed
it
the
is.
contract. He signed that
I
after
know.
that game.
I
So
know. It's great. It's the best time.
So
Now
I
you
think he's lined up because that's a pretty good gig.
Now you get Tommy Cutlets in there to go and run around and make plays. Mick or Dylan? Anybody want to go next?
I'll go. Rue up. The Kansas City
Yeah.
Kangaroos are lighting it up. On Monday, they won their basketball game 119-19. Quick math tells us that's 100 points. They won by 100 points over West Calvary Bible College
no doubt.
down in Belton. I have hit their dormitory with a golf ball before because they're right there on Eagles Landing Golf Course down there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right where they are. Yeah, and apparently there's some of the taller ones can play basketball or can't, but they went and played at Kansas City at UMKC on Monday, and that was 119-19.
They really were lighting it up.
And then last night in the NCAA men's soccer tournament, the Roos, Kansas City went over to play St. Louis, so it was KC versus STL.
Yeah,
in
let me guess who won.
In another soccer moment, and Kansas City won.
Big Brother won again.
2-0.
Big Brother wins again. STL, the lower cases. Dylan, who's lighting it up for you?
I'm going to go Jameis Winston. He had a great game last night, but the specific play where it is just
4th and
almost
2?
a snow globe
That was funny.
outside. I mean, that was awesome.
They were just all prancing around there, taking baby steps that Xavier Worthy should take.
But probably the having your ear walkie-talkie pop out of the helmet because
That
you got
was
hit so
awesome.
hard on the touchdown, and then throwing a
great.
pass in the snow with it like in front of your eye while you actually have to
pass.
get
Well,
a pass off for a 2-point
That
conversion.
David
was,
Njoku catches landing on his dome.
Yeah.
It
like,
was a great because
After he dropped one in his hand.
like a 41-inch vertical to
Which,
get.
if you had a Njoku anytime touchdown, it didn't matter that he dropped that one and then caught the
You're
2-point
fine,
conversion.
yeah,
They
you're
still pay
fine.
for 2-point
Right,
conversions,
don't
right?
they? Yeah.
I think so.
It's the same area of the field he caught it in.
That was going to be half of mine, so I'll give my one half of lighting it up with Dylan. Can you play clip number 2 that's in there? This was part of my also Jameis Winston, who was lighting it up because the man is a joy, an absolute joy. So we heard of what he was talking about pregame and everything about the horses are ready for battle and all of that stuff, and he's blessed that he gets to play in those elements. Well, what about postgame after the game on Amazon Prime as he was running over to the set and heading inside after winning the game? Here's Jameis Winston.
Let it snow. The Cleveland Browns got some more wins, baby. Let's get it. I just got to tell you, buddy. I just got off Amazon and I'm probably about to go and order a dub off Amazon. It's going to get here to my house by 9 o'clock tonight. That's how fast it is.
I just got off Amazon and I'm probably going to order a dub.
What was the SNL music at the end?
Yeah, so great. Order a dub and it's going to be in my house by 9 o'clock. That's how quick
That Prime postgame show is fun.
It
They
is,
do some
yeah.
funny stuff on there.
I mean, Jameis Winston, just continue to put a microphone in front of him. It's great. I'm going to go and order a dub. He didn't eat the W. How many of y'all want to eat a W? How many want to eat a W? He ordered the W off Amazon Prime, which, by the way, they should have done that earlier this year.
And they sell W's now at Publix, so he doesn't have to run away with them.
That's a W.
He's got the money
Let's
now.
eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
He would have been well taken care of with NIL back in the day that he didn't have to get
Totally
the quote-unquote hookup.
Oh,
with
God.
the,
He would have been the
with
king
crab
of
legs.
NIL.
Yes, he'd have been.
The
He'd
king
got the
crab.
king
Got some
crabs.
baseball money, too, that they got in flexing out.
Would have absolutely done that. My actual who's lighting it up is Ben McCollum. I mean,
Drake, baby.
taking care of Miami.
They played that on today, FAU, right? Yeah.
With 4 players from Northwest Missouri State score a total of 56 points in the game against Miami, and they take care of business there. So Ben McCollum staying undefeated at Drake lighting
They're
it
at
up for
Charleston.
me.
I know this because
Yes.
Oklahoma State is there as well,
How about that?
losing to
Oh.
FAU.
Where, is it football?
No, they lose at basketball, too.
Oh, well, it must be wrestling then if they're losing. Right, Mick? It's a joke because they're a good wrestling school. That's who's lighting it up. Let's go around the room and give our predictions. What do we think the score is going to be tomorrow? Then we'll get the cuts in when we are done.
Cuts.
All right, what's the score?
I'll go 28 Chiefs. I will say 17 Panthers.
All right, 28-17. Mick?
30-27 Chiefs. I think the offense does have that sense of humor. I'm telling you, man.
I just love it.
I've watched Chiefs too long. They do have that sense of urgency. They score points, but I fear there's the downward trend of the defense continues.
Dylan?
I'm going to go 17-30 Chiefs.
Yeah, this bit's over, man.
I wrote down 17 first.
Way to bring it back, Dylan.
I wrote down 17.
Callback.
Damn it, Dylan. Now I've got to scratch out on my format. It doesn't look as good now. That big circle of ink is really going to bug me. I am going to go 24-14 Chiefs. It may be like 24-7 and they get a final score, but the line is 10.5. So they
optimistic.
The line is 10.5, so they probably won't cover. Because it's not really what they do.
Chance.
I will gladly be wrong on the Chiefs not covering, but I'll go 24-14 Chiefs. We will continue rolling, and we'll get some cuts in. And by the way, just looking at it, and thank you to Seren as well. Drake already beat FAU today.
It's over already.
Yeah.
It's done.
So Ben McCollum is still.
They're still lighting it up.
Still lighting it up is what they're doing. Still lighting it up. We'll cut it up next. Let's just play cuts. Let's cut it up. Dylan, why don't you just take it away? Just throw them cuts up there, man. Tommy Cutlets. Let's do that for this weekend in honor of him only.
I love the show. Just call me Truck Driving Keith, and I'll keep listening, man. Have a great day.
That was Monday.
Pretty good.
Truck Driving Keith.
That was awesome. Listen, I've always told you guys I love the length. You can't coach that.
Can't
coach that. You can't.
Wish you could.
It's God's gift.
Shakir holding on as Cook absolutely blasted his backside.
Jesus, are you serious, Dylan?
I mean, it happens at the highest level.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. Oh my, what? It was just a tackle.
Saying last night, I don't know if this is too laissez-faire about it, but I can't even bring myself to care. Like,
I feel like you need to mark that.
Yeah,
Why?
I do.
How you said laissez-faire.
Oh, jeez. It's that community college education. Baby.
You said it kind of lazy fair is what you did. Not enough of emphasis on syllables.
BYU and Colorado are playing in the whitest Big 12 championship game of all time.
Could be.
But yeah, it's funny. Like there were so many teams.
Like white as in snow. Like it's going to be wintertime, you know. Although not in Dallas, but still, you never know.
Sure, that's what I meant.
Sure, that's what it is. That's what I meant. Yeah, that's for sure.
Pete Sweeney.
That's me.
That's
Sweens.
It is important with your name.
Yeah.
You no doubt.
I was going to say the rest of them is here too.
Well, there you go. There's that
Come on,
one.
dude.
Is there an apostrophe in there?
Radio MA?
Where does it go? I mean,
Oh my God.
is this what you said?
This is Radio MA? What are we doing? I used to go by Peter when I was a kid. Peter Sweeney, King of the Weenies. Nightmare fuel. I hated it.
And that is marked.
Welcome to the station, Pete. Welcome to the station.
Glad to have you.
Officially part of Cuts now.
Yeah,
Boxers Day, Boxing
I'll
Day,
count
whichever.
Boxers Day.
Everybody just wears boxer briefs.
Yeah, you just
know,
walk around with
no
boxer
matter.
briefs, you hold a beer, and you fight people.
That's what it's known for.
Do that anyway.
It's my day.
Good caller.
Part of the reason why the AFC West has been bad over the past few years is the Chiefs just running train through this entire division, right? I mean, like the way that
Thank
they
you,
have
Field.
completely overwhelmed opposing division opponents.
Keep going, Dylan. I feel bad that Field was thrown under the bus like that, or a train. Keep going.
I just got off Amazon and I'm probably about to go and order a dub off Amazon. It's going to get here to my house by 9 o'clock tonight. That's how fast it is.
Oh, thank you, Jameis, for being Jameis Winston. Oh, fantastic stuff. Any more? One more?
That has to be a horrible life. You just never being correct. It's like me. It's like fact or fiction.
You beat me to it, man. Well done, B-Rabbit.
Yeah.
Mick, thank you for hanging out with us today.
So good at hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely. You hung, and you were in while also hanging out.
I'm like the Chris Jones of hanging out.
Oh, my God. All right, so there's an early cut for next week.
I'm going to miss next week after that comment.
Yeah. No, you should still go. Maybe stay. You should maybe stay there.
You know what? Just go to Florida for the next week, Sterling. After that, I don't think you need to be around Mick anytime soon.
Uh-oh.